Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to another edition of the AFC North Talk Steelers fan. Don't worry, Tony's coming. He's running a little late, which leaves us to get right at the review of this game because Tony's not here. Tony, brother, I know you're listening. Just wait for these trolls. I know you're listening. Anyway, this game happened on Monday, so it's been a minute, and we couldn't review with the other games. But let's talk about this game because this game was a thing of beauty on the other way around. Ace, I want to hear your perspective first. What do you thought about this game?
This game was a wild game, bro, because originally I ended up actually turning this game off. So I started watching this game because obviously teams in our division all won. So I wanted to see what the Steelers would do. I wanted to see how the division would kind of stack up. But I felt as if after watching Justin Fields, that this was kind of a foregone conclusion that the Steelers would kind of come in, especially at home, and really pound down on this team. That's what I initially thought. And then as I'm watching, I'm just like, and I think I tweeted this, I was like, bro, the Bears need to put Andy Dalton in. The way that Justin Fields and that offense started off the game was completely shaky. And at first it seemed like the Pittsburgh Steelers were just well within their way to a game where it could have been over. And it seemed like to me, like if the Steelers just got 3 touchdowns at one point, that this game would be over. And then slowly but surely, the Bears start creeping back into the game. And literally when I think that the game is over, that's when people tell me that it's like a tie game or close. And I'm like, what is going on with the Steelers? And so then I end up rewatching it and continue to watch. And then I'm just seeing the fallout from all of like the weird calls in the game. And they were happening at some points when I was watching, because I remember seeing the run from Justin Fields and he runs over to the sideline and the Steelers player just straight up hits him in the helmet. And I'm just like, they're just not going to call that. But I wasn't too surprised because generally, like for rookie quarterbacks, even Joe Burrow at some times last year, he wasn't getting those flags on those calls. But it was kind of weird, especially coming off of the game that the Bengals had in the Jets where you had the Mike Hilton hit with that Jets running back. So it was very confusing, especially for a quarterback. And then you see all of these weird calls just start to happen. And you feel like the Bears are going to end up pulling this game out and pulling out the shocker. But it did seem like the refs did have some calls that went in their favor. And that is what everyone was talking about on my timeline the next day was, did Vegas have money on this game? Especially when you see a ref literally, like Quincy said before we started the show, set an illegal screen on a player and then throw the flag on him. So it was a weird one. And I feel like the Steelers, they've kind of had some wounded teams that they've had to face, and they really have been kind of clawing to get out of these games. And we saw that last year, right? But this year it's even weirder because you had Geno Smith almost beat you a couple weeks ago. Now Justin Fields and the Bears almost beat you. To give them credit, I guess, they have made it out with the wins. But I think it is very concerning for the Steelers, especially with them losing potentially Chase Claypool now with the injury. So they have to see what's going on with that. The other funny thing is, remember when all of y'all Steelers fans was like, H, you said Ben's arm is cooked, and y'all were sending me those preseason clips of Ben against the Detroit Lions letting it go? I saw that pass. And you are lucky that it was not intercepted, because that pass completely died mid-flight from that noodle arm of Ben Roethlisberger. But in his defense, he didn't turn the ball over. He just didn't look like a guy that could push it down the field. And the Bears kind of caught on to that, and they just put everybody up to the line of scrimmage. And they were just like, you're going to have to beat us with the Big Ben deep ball. We're not going to let Najee Harris beat us. But they kind of look one-dimensional as far as that passing game with Ben Roethlisberger. people are starting to catch on to Najee Harris. The one thing that I did like, and I've always liked this guy, and I think, Sonny, you've talked about him as well, Pat Freiermuth. The Bengals were interested in a tight end last year, or I thought that they should be interested in a tight end last year. So I looked at a lot of the guys from that class, and Freiermuth was a guy that I liked, and he really seemed to kind of put it together in this game with the 2 touchdowns. I think that he's going to be an issue moving forward. Devin Bush as well does not look like what I guess the expectations that they had for him in this game. But yeah, it was a crazy game, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the Bengals do not get calls like that the Steelers were getting in that game. It was kind of crazy.
Before I throw it to Q, I was watching this game and I got transported to my childhood when I was about, I don't know, 8, 9 years old, watching Sacramento and the Lakers, where those Westerns. Everybody in my house was sleeping. I'm there like at midnight, school next day, just watching. Didn't understand what they were talking because English, Spanish, right? And I'm like, they're watching the damn game. And I'm like, oh, I think they're stealing this game. I was mad as hell. Obviously, years later, we learn. I'm watching
they stole that game.
I'm watching this game and I'm like, this is not even like in the NBA, questionable. This is like making up calls. Q. I'm watching this game like, so you're saying you're sticking your butt out to hit him, but he illegally touched you? It must be me. Q, what do you thought about this game?
Yeah, man, this is one of the ones where like it was kind of like that Bengals Jets game where I turned this thing off. I was like, oh, Steelers up by 14. Okay, that was it for the little rally that the Bears are gonna have. And I checked in on it just to check, and this thing is like tied up almost. And I was like, well, but what in the world is going on with Pittsburgh? Because it looked like Justin Fields for a good portion of this game, complete Duke. Didn't he just turn into he turned into like Cam Newton, prime Cam Newton at the end of this game for whatever reason, started slinging that thing downfield. Pittsburgh has some real issues in the back end of that secondary. Minka is not Minka anymore. I don't know what's going on with him. But let's talk about that penalty, man. See, I remember I was watching that. I was watching it at that point, and that was a huge sack by Cassius Marsh. I was like, who got that? And I saw it's Cassius Marsh, and I texted every Steeler fan I know, LMAO, Cassius Marsh, of all people, gets that sack right there. And then the flag comes up. And I was like, well, maybe they called it on him for the kick. Like, I guess that's pretty dumb. But, whatever. It's the NFL in 2021 at this point. It's pretty much what you say at every call. And then they showed the replay of him trotting slowly towards the punter, and that's what they called it for. And I was like, wow, this is going to get somebody legitimately murdered if a game of higher circumstance, if this happens at. Like, Monday Night Football, it's going to be a big controversy. If this happens in the playoffs, imagine if that happened to the Ravens, Sonny. Imagine in like the AFC Championship game in M&T Bank Stadium. You're not getting out. If that happens in Cleveland, we have a history of violence towards referees in this state. Like, okay, it is not going to end well for they are. So right now, if they carry this rule out, I hope the NFL understands they are putting the referees in danger. And I know a lot of anger when you see stuff like that goes directly towards the NFL. Not the NFL, the referees, right? That's where most people, they go, the NFL needs to fix these referees. The NFL is breaking them. That's why they're broken. The NFL is choosing not to fix them. As a matter of fact, the NFL made the rules and such to have this be broken. It's the NFL's fault. It is all 32 owners' fault that this is like this, right? This is not just the referees. The referees are just enforcing fairly broken rules at this point. It's the owners that have made it like that because they voted these rules in. They initiated this rule and this focus on taunting. This was an owner initiative. They are to blame. So if you are upset with that, you need to tell your NFL owners or whatever. I don't know. There's no democratic process in the NFL, but you know what I mean? So you need to be mad at the owners. Being mad at the referee, Correnti, he stinks. It's a terrible call. The calls were awful all game. They were awful all game. But the reason they're allowed to be this awful is because the NFL owners have not taken any step to make the refereeing any better, have not taken any steps to make this less subjective. And matter of fact, have taken more steps to make it in the opposite direction in the last 10 years. And that's why we're in the mess that we're in now. So until the NFL owners and the NFL itself, and this is not Roger Goodell, he does not have this power. This is only the NFL owners that have this power over the league. That's the only time this is going to be solved. So if you don't like it, direct that anger at the owners, because they're the exact reason why this is happening, why the rules have gotten to this point. They're the ones who don't want to see players celebrate. It ain't the players, it ain't the fans, it's them. So they're the fault.
Is it the NFL competition committee that comes up with this stuff?
But
that's a group of owners.
That's a group of owners, kind of, sort of.
It's the competition committee that suggested.
I think Harbaugh's
but they can't bring anything in unless the owners okay it.
Tomlin's definitely there. I think
Harbaugh.
We just added Katie Blackburn there, so she's like the first female to ever be a part of the NFL competition committee. But I think she's just now joined it. But yeah, they got to get that right.
But as you said,
the competition committee is like largely symbolic. They're just a grouping of people that they can say, "Hey, look, we're not making all the decisions," and then they make a suggestion, and then if the owners don't want it, they won't have it. Just like the what was the one thing they vote the looking at what was it? Pass interference.
Oh, the pass interference. That was the year before. Yeah,
they struck it down. Like it's the owners who have the control over this. Like they might have
right now. They should be like, this thing is getting out of hand. Let's just pull this shit off. Let's just take it out.
This is the game they want. This is what the owners intended, and that's why they sent the NFL SVP of refereeing out there to actually defend it. Because this is, for whatever reason, what the owners want. Now, whatever reason you come up with for why they would want their game to get worse or their game to have less passion in it, that's up to y'all to figure that out. But that's who is making this happen. We can be mad at the referees, and look, I understand it because they're the people who are making the calls. But at the end of the day, it's the owners that are making this happen. So,
But there was the DPI call also, right? But before that, a couple super chats here. Billy Williams, OBJ to the Rams thoughts. We'll talk about it soon. OBJ to the Rams. Mark Khan, thank you for that donation. We'll talk about it as soon as we finish here with the Steelers. Player of the game, Allen Blanken Robinson. Never absolutely affected this game. Steelers got lucky.
By the way, hit that over. Hit that over.
You picked the over. You picked the over. That's right.
You hit the over on the prop bet. Hit the over. He got 65 yards, all the 2 catches. Shout out Allen Robinson. That's one of his best games of the year, man.
Michael Brooks here says the Ben Pass's arm was hit by the rusher. Okay.
Man, Ben back in the day used to be able to throw it no matter if he got hit by the pass rusher, though. Like that was what made Ben special.
Micah Resmus, a false start. And other calls by the Bears. But okay, the false start, that can happen.
Everybody misses false start.
The DPI for me was huge because I'm like,
and the Bears had their right tackle was jumping false start like 5 different times, like at that last drive. So it's like that stuff. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, the referees are so awful. How did they miss that? Or the holds? Like that's obviously a league initiative. But when you talk about taunting and all these other calls, they're just ridiculous.
Yes. Let me also say for y'all Steelers fan and Ravens fan, the crossbar of the poll this year has been very friendly to the AFC North. Obviously, the Ravens benefited from against the Lions. The Steelers benefited because the Bears kicker. Look, the Bears go up by 2, and shout out to Boswell. Boswell made a good kick to go up by 1 or 2, whatever it was. And then the Bears attempt a 65-yard field goal. And Hines, right? So not easy. And the dude almost made it. He hit the crossbar, and the crossbar wasn't as friendly to him as he was to Justin Tucker. And he missed it.
I think on the replay it showed like that because I know I saw it on TV angle. I thought that was close. And I thought that was tremendous for a ball kicked in Hines Field. Yeah. On the TV, they show like the replay, I think it landed like almost at the line of scrimmage at the end zone line. It just looked like it bounced it. So I don't think he was close on that one. Yeah, on the replay, you could see it because I thought so too when I saw it on TV live.
Yeah,
because I was like, I thought it hit the top of the bar too. But I think it might have, it was like 10 yards short or something.
Okay,
like that.
my bad, Michael. My bad. Because I saw, and I didn't go back to watch the replay, and I was like, oh man, I was impressed about the kicker on the Bears. I was like, my goodness. But let me say this: I would say Justin Fields has looked a little bit better from those Bengals Browns game. But you're up by, I think at one point they were up by 17 in Heinz Field against a rookie QB and against a bad D line. And your main thing is a bad O line. Your main thing is our D line is great, right? That is the Steelers shtick on defense. Our secondary, safety, well, Minka has been, all over, but my D line is great. So if you're by 17 in Heinz Field, I guess a bad O-line. I'm not expecting. I mean, I'm sorry. I think like you and I say, I'll watch this game the next day. So you're like, this game is done. I can go to bed. There's no need for me to come in and finish this game. And you letting this game get close. I know there was a punt return or a kick return. They got fumbled and a touchdown. That's 7 points. That's just 7. I was shocked. Hold on. Tony just made it. Tony, are you audio?
Yeah, I'm on audio only. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
we can hear you.
We were talking about the Steelers.
Tony's coming in after he had to drop that bag off to the referees. For this
Yes.
What's that?
Tony's
I
the
was
bag man for the Steelers.
I was meeting with the officials. We were doing like a little celebratory dinner after the game. Just thanking them for all their hard work out there.
What is your thought about this game, Tony? We're just talking about the review, not the previews yet. What is your thought?
On the Steelers and Bears?
Yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, we'll just talk about the officiating real quick because I know that's been a big topic. I got so many people in my mentions this week saying, Tony, how could you watch that game? How could you be happy after that win? You guys know me. I hate the National Football League. I think it's the worst run league in all sports, and it surprises me zero, that the officiating is at this level. It's been, by the way, this to me is not new. The officiating in the National Football League has been terrible year in and year out as long as I can remember watching the sport. And so, yeah, I mean, this was a really, really poorly officiated game. No doubt about that. The taunting call being probably the worst of everything in the game. But on the taunting call, look, if you're going to call taunting, Cassius Marsh, now, should it have been a taunting call? No, but Cassius Marsh was taunting, right? I mean, this is a guy who got cut from the Steelers. He was staring down the sideline. If we're going to call taunting, fine, that's a taunt. But again, I think that rule itself is ridiculous. And the way that, Tony Serino went around, with his whole staring him down, didn't give him a little hip check. Like, I thought that was all silly. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna cry about the officiating in this game. Officiating in the National Football League has been bad. Officiating has been bad for 20 years. I mean, I've been watching this sport since 1994. Give me a year when officiating was good in the National Football League, and maybe I'll apologize for the Steelers winning. Otherwise, this Steelers team is really stupid because, boy, can they just win a game easily? Like, this team just cannot find a way in the second half to just close the game out. Instead of closing games out, this team lets teams back in it every single week. Save for the Browns game, this 4-week stretch, this 4 wins for the Steelers have been pretty much the same formula, which is play well enough in the first half to take a decent-sized lead. I think it was 14 against Denver. I think it was also 14 against Seattle. Maybe it was 10 against Seattle. And then in this game, they were up, 14-0 in this football game. And yet the second half of these football games are completely different than the first half. And it's really a problem with this defense not being able to close teams out because offensively, I think in every single one of those games, the second half, the offense has put up points, and then the defense has immediately given up a touchdown. That's so unlike this Steeler team or the Steeler defense in years past. And I've talked about this on the show, right? I think this defense has another level to get to, but we're not seeing that new level. I mean, maybe we're seeing the first half a little bit, but like we talk about killer instinct and great defenses being able to close games out. Like this defense just isn't there yet. And I don't know where to point the blame because obviously the secondary is an issue, but outside of TJ Watt, Cam Hayward's a very good pass rusher, but this team was really hoping that Alex Highsmith was going to turn a corner. And I think Alex Highsmith's been good, but certainly not anywhere near the level that there was hype about him in preseason. I just can't get a read on this team. I still think the Steelers. What's that?
Not like Bud Dupree when Bud Dupree was the co-star of T.J. Watt and him.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, look, TJ is going to do his thing. He is playing phenomenal football. I think he had 3 sacks on Sunday. He was awesome. They're still doing this thing with Minka where they're not using him as a true deep safety anymore. They're kind of moving him around. I thought that was to their detriment again on Sunday. That Mollett got beat deep a couple times late in that game. Hughes guy, Allen Robinson, ate a little bit in the second half of that game. I understand what the Steelers are doing with Minka and not wanting to make him so predictable, but impact on the field for Minka Fitzpatrick has not been the same this year as it's been in years past. And I think you could, at this point, we're midway through the year. I think you can draw a straight line between Minka's lack of impact and how the coaching staff is using him so far. So that, I mean, we'll see how if they change that going forward. And then offensively, the offensive line took a step backwards, no doubt about it. I mean, they weren't able to run the football like they've been in years past. They weren't. I mean, it wasn't like a horrible. I know the stats at the end are like 2.6 yards per carry. At the beginning of the game, they were getting some push, but that eroded. It was almost like you talk about wearing out a defensive line. It was almost like the offensive line got worn down trying to block that Bears defensive front. So, and then, lastly here on Ben Roethlisberger, like Ben is not good, right? We've established this week in and week out. Nothing Ben's doing here is really going to change anyone's opinion on that. But I do think the end of this game is exactly why you brought Ben back. Right? That going down late in this football game, needing a score late, and Ben Roethlisberger, no blink. It wasn't a great drive. It wasn't like he was fitting the ball in tight windows or anything. But, just he made it look easy. It was a little dink and dunk here, a long one to Deontay, and the Steelers were easily in field goal range. That's exactly why you brought Ben back, is for situations like that when you need a guy who's been in that moment year in and year out. He's done this a million times. Yeah, I think he now, by the way, leads the league in sacks all time, and I believe he now has more fourth quarter comebacks. Someone can fact check me on this, but I read that he has more fourth quarter comebacks now than even Tom Brady does. So he's been in that situation a million times, and that's exactly why you brought him back, is those kind of moments late in football games when you need him to just come through, make a couple throws here and there, get the win. Am I impressed by the Steelers coming out of this one? No, but I really haven't been impressed by this team in any game save for the Browns game. And so, you go into this game against the Lions now, and it's like, I don't think any Steeler fan is going to be really confident, even against the Lions, because no matter what the opponent you put against the Steeler team, every game this year for the Steelers has looked the same, which is they're going to struggle, and late in the football game, it's going to be a toss-up.
Okay, we had 2 super chats here, and then we'll discuss a little bit of the Odell stuff. Am I the only one that thinks the whole AFC North is going to the playoffs? Also, am I the only one that thinks Odell will be the 3rd wide receiver on the team? We'll talk about the Odell thing. On the front,
4th. He's the 4th receiver on that team. 4th.
On the front,
what fringe guy does Tony have ahead of him? It's like Tony.
He's not a fringe guy. Dan Jefferson's actually good.
Oh, Dan Jefferson. See, it's always like somebody I've never heard of. The Tonys.
Well, will be Woodson. On the 4 teams of the AFC North, I don't know, because right now the AFC North hasn't really played each other a lot. So once the AFC North starts playing each other a lot, somebody has to lose, right? There's not gonna be all tides. So I see them hard. Maybe 3, but all 4. That's like
all 4 is tough, especially with the AFC, with the records that they have right now. Everybody having the same record is kind of hard to see one team from. Or 4 teams for one division making.
That would be crazy if it happens, but
and you also have to worry about teams like the Patriots in the AFC East, who seem to be coming on now. They're starting to find their rhythm, and then that AFC. Look, the AFC West is just as good right now as the AFC North record-wise, right? I mean, you've got that all those teams are bunched up together, just like the AFC North is, and so you could easily see 2 teams out of the AFC West make the playoffs rather than the AFC North.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so we have here. Brandon says, Steelers barely beat the Bears, but they not just not beat the Jaguars by only 3, but lost to the Bears and just last week. Calm down.
Yeah, and I mean that's valid, but I think my point is, and Tony's always talked about it, and Steelers fans have always talked about it, and the Bengals have done this themselves as well, right? But when it comes to the Steelers, I feel like there's a different kind of respect that's given to the Steelers, but this has been a common theme for them where they've gone into games where, they are heavily favored against some of these teams, and they have blown leads on teams and been in situations where you're like, no, this shouldn't have happened. Like the Bears game, I will say for the Bengals, the one I think difference for us is I wish we would have had Justin Fields for 2 halves. A lot of people forget Andy Dalton played like the first half of that game. But I think just the Steelers just get into these situations. And we even saw it last year when they went 11-0, when it was against teams like the Eagles and stuff like that, especially at home and stuff like that. You would expect that they would just kind of end these guys. Like the Steelers have ended the Bengals plenty of times. And so some of these teams that they've played are even Bengals tier last year or even worse. And I mean, it happened against the Bengals with Ryan Finley. So there's a lot of puzzling things from a Steelers team when you have a coach like Mike Tomlin, who won a Super Bowl and is one of the best coaches here in football. And it's just some kind of eyebrow raising things. But the thing is, they still win. So it hasn't bit them too many times where they lose outside of, you talk about the Bengals game last year. And I can't really think of too many other ones, but the Geno Smith game, I was sitting there thinking the same thing. Like, I was about to go to sleep in that game. And the next thing I know, I'm up till 1 a.m. seeing if the Steelers are going to pull it off against a Geno Smith Jags team. So, or not Jags team, but Seahawks team. So that's the only thing there. And like Tony is saying, you got a Lions team this week. And as much as you would want, even as a bettor, to just go in and throw down a bunch of money on the Steelers, I don't know if you would feel confident in it, given how they've played recently.
No,
Tony said they're a scrappy team.
No way. No way. You're going to bet. I mean, like, they're favored. The Steelers are favored right now by, I believe, anywhere between 8.5 or 9. You really think that? I mean, so basically, the Steelers got to win by double digits to get you there. This Steelers team is beating someone by double digits. Who's that going to be right now? Look, and I'm not trying to say the Steelers are this bad football team and they didn't deserve to win any of these games. That's not what I'm saying. But this is the way that they play football right now. Like, this team is incapable in the second half of games of really having that killer instinct. It's not as though it's like the Ravens, right, where the Ravens are coming out and they're playing poorly to start, and then they kind of turn it back on. They turn into the team that they really are. The Steelers are coming out and playing well, but they don't know how to finish yet. Maybe it's whether it's a youth thing or they're just kind of playing above their level. And once the teams kind of settle in and figure out how to slow the Steelers down by the second half, that's what it is. Look, I can't exactly put my finger on what it is right now. I mean, I do think a lot of this has to do with, Mike Tomlin getting this team to kind of play above itself a lot of the time. And, I do think, much like I talked about with the Bengals, I think the Steelers are probably not a 5-3 football team. If you look at the product on the field, I think we can all agree on that, right? I mean, that team that we're watching probably shouldn't be the second best team in the AFC North right now, shouldn't be talked about as an AFC North contender. They keep winning games, but as I look at the product on the field, forget about the record, forget about wins and losses, just look at the product on the field. They're not a great football team. They just happen to be winning.
Okay, so we have one super chat, and then I want to go to Quincy here for the Odell Baker, OBJ stuff. Steelers pay the rest an XL amount of money. See what I did there? Also, since I missed the last week, glad to see Ace and Bengals fans back to earth. Okay,
I'm glad. By the way, that all these people are writing in today. I don't remember all these super chats against the Packers when the refs literally stole a touchdown from the Steelers in that game. Don't remember. It was a 10-point swing, by the way. We went from Steelers touchdown to Packers field goal, a literal 10-point swing in that game. I don't remember all the concern from our super chats back then, but maybe I'm misremembering. I'll go back and watch, and maybe I'll see there was a bunch.
What was the game on national
how much
TV,
the refs
though?
stole that game from the Steelers.
No, I don't think it was a national TV game.
It's not on national TV, and nobody cares. By the way,
Steelers Packers was a national TV 4:00 game.
It's not like
it was the 4 o'clock. It was the 4 o'clock window.
Nobody
That's national TV.
4 o'clock.
It's not 8 or Monday Night Football. You know that. It don't even count on the national TV counter for your games. It's just a regular swing. Yeah. So, but I get what you're saying, Tony. But the Bengals got beat down so bad last week. Ace came in here repping the Rattlers. He's like, yo.
Nah, it's bye week, baby. It's bye week.
You're chilling, Ace.
They were like, you a Bengals fan? Who they?
Colton here says, but who paid the rest in the Super Bowl? Okay.
We litigated 20-year-old Super Bowl, however long ago.
Tony left. You see what you guys did? Tony left. Anyway, Q. Let's talk about this Odell thing because we already had 2 super chats about it before we before we go to the preview of the week, let's talk about what do you think about this move for Odell?
You know, if it's what he wants, I mean, I know he has a house out in LA, so it makes sense that he would want to play for a team in LA. As far as like the Rams, I mean, if he didn't love his fit in Cleveland, I don't know how he's gonna love his fit in LA that much more. It's pretty similar offense. They do run Shanahan style, run focused offense. Matt Stafford, and I don't know if people are gonna get mad at me for saying this, but Matt Stafford and Baker Mayfield are pretty similar quarterbacks. I mean, almost identical, quite frankly, at this point of their careers. Both strong arm, both really need to work within the system of the offense. Both not going to give you their best on improvisation kind of things right here, at least in that structure of the offense as well as he presented. So, you know, yeah, I think he went there because he wants to live in his LA house. That's fine. You know what I mean? He's allowed to do that. I don't know if this makes me any more afraid of the Rams. I mean, I guess it comes off as arrogant when I talk about the Browns this way because the Browns record does not reflect how I feel about them. But if the Browns play at the level that we think they can play at with the roster they have still without Odell Beckham, I've said this for weeks. Like if Baker's playing well, if this offense is playing well, I just don't care where Odell goes because there's not a team he can go to I don't think the Browns could beat with him on it. So, you know, LA, he goes there. We'll see what they do with the rest of the year. I think they got some finicky parts there. I mean, they got Aaron Donald's great, and then Matt Stafford can be great in some parts, but I think he also has some limitations that if you try to add too many pieces, moving pieces to that offense, he could struggle with. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with the whole Odell thing. We'll see if Odell can have a great year. I hope for his sake he does, because I mean, this has to be frustrating, only having 1,000 yards in your last 3 years. You know, so I hope he does well. But overall, you know, I'm focused on what the Browns have to do this week, and also, you know, as far as Odell goes, I don't think where he lands is really that important for the future of the Browns right now. And I don't even know if it's that important for the Rams right now. I think this is more of an experiment. Now I see people saying, oh, he's not going to be the number one option. He's not going to even be the number two. I think if you're Odell, you have to look at what the Buccaneers have done with Antonio Brown and use that as the model for how you're going to be able to come back and kind of get back your stature back in the league. Not that Antonio Brown's fully recovered into back to being Antonio Brown, but I think how they use him is very smart, right? Where they have Antonio Brown drives and packages. He is not the starter out there. He's not even the 3 most of the time, but they have packages where they go to Antonio Brown a lot. And when he's out there, they'll use him like a number 1. And I think that's pretty much how Sean McVay is going to pattern his usage of Odell Beckham on. And I think there can be a great use in that. I think he's still a very good wide receiver. I think there's some good use for him. I thought he was going to go somewhere either with a stronger quarterback where he could feel comfortable deferring to, or, you know, a completely like quarterback that he doesn't even have to worry about that being an issue, right? If you go play with what's a trash quarterback? Somebody name a trash quarterback that like
Trevor Siemian on the Saints.
Yeah,
if he goes to the Saints and Trevor Siemian is going to be like, Odell, whatever you want, I'll give you the ball wherever and I'll just throw it to you, right? Like those are the 2 options for Odell if he really wants to put up big numbers, or go somewhere where he doesn't have to worry about the ferment, or go somewhere where Trevor Siemian is not going to be looking at the reads that the coaches tell him. He's going to be looking at 13. So, you know, that's essentially where we're at with the whole Odell thing. We'll see how he plays for the rest of the year. I hope the best for him. I think this is probably the weirdest fit he could have signed to, because, you know, it's not that much different from Cleveland. But you know, if he's happy, he's happy. It seems like Browns fans are happy he's not on the team anymore. And, you know, we'll see how the Browns play without him on the team. I just see no reason to freak out about this, but I'm pretty sure Twitter's going.
Oh yeah, they're going crazy. Oh, shout out to Orange. Thank you for the donation. Oh, they will get the ball. That's all that matters. Q. Then we have one from William Coltrane says, "Poor Ace, excited to see JOK back. Hopefully he will be back. And OBJ is pulling out LeBron here. He needs that big city."
I mean, the people say that about Odell, but like he's from New Orleans, and New Orleans is not a big city. Like this is not a dude who's used to like big city stuff. But and he stayed in Cleveland like for like 2.5 years. It's not like he did the 1 year and it was like I need to go after that one. And I wouldn't have blamed him because that 1 year was very dysfunctional. But he saw this thing out. Like I think people who are like jumping on this like Odell hates Cleveland and he needs a big city. If he got traded 2 years ago, okay, you can make that argument, but I don't really think that's been the case with him. The dude did like legitimately buy a house and really did try to commit to this whole Cleveland thing. It just did not work out.
Yep.
And I think that's okay to admit on both sides of this.
Yeah. Eric Grover here says Steelers have yet to be called for a DPI this year. Okay, Ace.
What is that a real stat?
That's by the way, that's thank you, James Pierre. It's again when you add great talent like that. By the way, we didn't talk about James Pierre. James Pierre was one of the greatest forced fumbles in league history. Just wanted to mention that real quick. His second turnover this year, including the interception he caused. So I just wanted to point that out for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, if only you could clone James Pierre so you don't have to start Joe Hayden anymore.
Joe Hayden's been fine. If only James Pierre could play the nickel, or in the slot, I should say. If only James Pierre could play in the slot.
Free safety.
Ooh, okay. I like the take. Okay, Ace, go ahead, man.
If I had a team full of James Pierres.
Real quick,
that's 17-0, baby.
Real quick on OBJ, so then we can do the preview. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I always thought the Rams were in play. Like when they first were talking about it, I always felt like LA. I feel like I remember a few years ago, I think that they were trying to trade for OBJ or something like that, especially after the Von Miller thing. And as soon as he's, getting ready to be released, Von Miller is tweeting him. It just made sense. I think what Quincy said is true. He did come from, a smaller city, but I do think New York turned him out. I think him playing in New York and after the catch and all of that fame, he just, if he had his choice, right, I don't think that literally made it for him, but I think that this is more than a move that's just about specifically football, right? It's about going to a team that's going to give you a chance to win, playing in a offense with Sean McVay and all of that, but he's also in LA too at the same time. He's in another big city where he can probably have some kind of deals or something like that. And he likes to party. We already know about OBJ. We already know about OBJ and Jarvis off that boat with the Timberland boots. Like, that's just how OBJ gets down. But this move, it doesn't shock me too much, especially when they said that Green Bay only offered him a minimum contract. It just made sense for him to either go there, the Chiefs, or the Rams, with them loading up so much for a Super Bowl run. So, it makes sense. I would think that he has put a lot of pressure on himself, that this is a situation that, if you're going to the Rams, if you have this perfect situation on a 1-year deal, you probably should produce. And we saw that didn't work out for Deshaun Jackson. Let's see if it works out for Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, and I guess that would be my question with the whole deal. I don't have a ton of thoughts because we don't know if it's going to work or not. But for me, the surprising part is whatever team he was going to go to, he was going to go to a situation that he's the new guy, right? He's the new guy. He has no chemistry unless he knew the quarterback, from before. And he's going to a situation where Matthew Stafford loves Cooper Kupp. Right? That's his boy. He gets a lot of the targets. And then he sprinkles in Woods and Jefferson. And he will go with Deshaun for D-Jax over the top here and there, but not enough that Jackson thought, okay, I'm not going to produce all the talent here. And that was his main focus, right? I want to win, but I want to produce. I thought that was OBJ's main issue with Cleveland. I don't get enough targets. I cannot produce because I'm not getting enough targets. I wonder if he goes games without a lot of targets, how is he going to react? Now, I don't think you're going to see a lot of things in the media because if he goes and throws something similar to what he did in Cleveland and back-to-back against back-to-back teams in one season, he might be putting himself out there like, yeah, you don't want to touch this guy for the future. So he might be a good soldier, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I understand why the Rams, but at the same time, I was like, why the Rams? There would be other teams. Like, to be fair, New England needs a receiver. That's a team that is ascending. Maybe New England, right? Maybe the Packers also need another one next to Devontae. He would get more targets. those two would have made more sense football wise. I understand what Q said of having the house in LA. I get it. I really don't care personal matters. So anyway, that's all my thought.
I might have not said big city, but I did say warm though. Like he is still from Louisiana, and I imagine he has done his amount in the cold, right? Like I think that's when people are like, "Hey man, let's go to Green Bay right when it gets freezing cold." Like that might not be the look it was for everybody else. You know what I mean? Especially in the NFC North, where like they're literally the only team that doesn't have a dome for whatever reason. So yeah, it's one of them things where it's like, you know, maybe he's decided I'm not going to get the ball anywhere I sign, because I don't know where he would have signed that would have been a contender that would have changed everything to give him the ball. Because if you're a contender, it's probably not because you're willing to change everything to get a wide receiver the ball in week 9 or week 10. So, you know, maybe he just kind of decided, hey, look, I'm not going to get the ball this year. I might as well consolidate my housing because I'm going to get less money now, and just kind of do that whole thing, because he's still got to sell a big old house in Cleveland, and this ain't the time to be doing that. So it might be a lot more at play than just football here, because it might just have to be. So you know, if this is what makes him happy, good on him, man. Football wise, I'm like, I don't think that was the greatest fit, but it might not be all about football.
Okay. Richard Gonzalez, thank you for the donation. AFC North on lots of prime time. Great division. Go Browns. Tony, real quick, any other thoughts you have?
Yeah, on the OBJ thing, Sonny, I think you hit the nail on the head on the OBJ side of this. You know, kind of, hey, this guy's going to go into a system already with like Cooper Kupp as an established number one in that system, right? I mean, he already has the rapport with his quarterback. They've already got Robert Woods, who's a very good number 2 in that system. Van Jefferson's been worked in, and they already had this where you have the name player in Deshaun Jackson who can do the thing. Deshaun Jackson was, I mean, he was there for what, 3-4 weeks before he decided, I don't want to be here, and asked for his release. And so, yeah, the question for me with OBJ is like, okay, is this going to end up in like a Melvin Ingram type situation where OBJ is just overrating himself, where he's thinking, nah, I'll beat out Van Jefferson. Like I'll beat out Robert Woods. I can still be that guy in this offense. And then from the Rams side, I mean, isn't this the rare case where it's arrogance on both sides? Because from the Rams perspective, again, they literally just experienced the same thing with Deshaun Jackson. They thought they were going to bring in to be a role player. And Deshaun Jackson said, I don't want to be a role player. I want to be the guy. And so this is a really interesting fit. Now, like you guys talked about, there's some stuff with OBJ where when it comes to like, you know, the LA lifestyle, and just ring chasing. I mean, this Rams team right now is probably, even though they lost to Tennessee, I still think they're among the best teams in the NFC. And so if he wants to go there and try and win a ring, like obviously you're not going to begrudge a guy for that. You know, Von Miller basically did the exact same thing. So yeah, I mean, from that perspective, I guess I understand that. But man, from a usage perspective, how this is going to play out, I think the Rams are being a little arrogant in thinking that they can just kind of work OBJ into their system. I think OBJ is being a little arrogant and maybe thinking like, oh no, I'm going to go here and I'm going to get my targets. I'm going to get mine. So that was the big problem in Cleveland. Boy, I don't know if going to the Rams is going to solve his problems.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You're saying ring chasing with the team that starts Matt Stafford at quarterback? I don't know.
Well, I don't disagree. I don't agree with your take on Stafford. I think Stafford has proven this year he can be a very, very good quarterback. The structure part of it, I'll agree with, but he and Sean McVay's talked about this. He opens up more of the Rams offense. Yes, it's still structured. The McVay offense is a very structured offense, but there's stuff that they could not ask Goff to do that they can now ask Stafford to do, and it unlocks even more of that offense.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, though. Compared to what? Like, yeah, is he opening up the offense? Yes, compared to Jared Goff. But if you compare him to Baker Mayfield, I don't think they're that different. Like, I really don't think these two quarterbacks
I think
that's my only point. And last year they weren't that different. This year I don't think they're that different either.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Okay, let's talk about the preview of the game. By the way, before we go to the preview, we have over 500 people watching. Please smash that like. Just give me a quick favor. Please smash that like. Also, guys, remember in the chat, we monitor the chat as much as we can. Obviously, there's a lot of things. There's lines not to be crossed. We'll put you in a timeout the first time, second time, you might be banned. Okay? Saying all that, let's talk about the Ravens against this it's a couple hours. I'm not gonna sleep today because when this show is probably like an hour after the show, the Ravens game. So I'm gonna go straight. I woke up at 6 in the morning local time, so that's about 1 a.m. Eastern time. And yeah, it's gonna be a 24-hour day for me. So I'm gonna actually go with Ace first. Ace, what do you think about this Dolphins Ravens game?
Yeah, I think if they were playing anybody other than the Dolphins right now, that maybe there's a chance that they don't convincingly blow this team out. I think they're just honestly going to blow the doors off of this Dolphins team. I mean, honestly, the Dolphins team, you look at the offensive line, it's no good. It's one of the worst in the league. Obviously, the Ravens are going to be able to put some pressure on them. And then you don't even know if Tua's playing in this game. And even if Tua does, right, Sonny always talks about how good the Ravens are against young quarterbacks. Like, I don't see Tua Tagovailoa changing that tune, especially with how he's played this season. And then if it's not him, you're going to get Jacoby Beef Brisket as the backup. And I think that's what he's going to be. He's going to be beef brisket and barbecue tonight against that Ravens defense. And then you talk about on offense, they've got obviously their wide receiver core is coming together for the Ravens. We kind of saw that last week. These guys are really kind of formulating some structure there on offense from that receiving core. You talk about the running backs, and even like in the games where Devonta Freeman wasn't getting many yards, I personally, maybe I'm biased because I used to watch him at FSU. He still looked like he had some potential, and he seems that he may be out of the guys that they have there. I'm not saying obviously they lost JK and lost Gus there, but he seems out of those 3 or 4 guys there that he may be the best there. I'm not saying that he's going to go off for any amount of yardage, but he seems to be a guy that can at least stabilize that running attack that they have. And then Lamar, are they going to make mistakes in this game? They have, and they talked about it in this past week about them kind of falling behind against some of these teams and then coming back and trying to play perfect in the second half. I think that this is going to be a game that they realize that has happened in certain games, and they're just going to put it all together and close this one out early. This Dolphins team is really just not even close to remotely what they were last year, an up-and-coming team. And I think that they're going to crash and burn, and I think that the Ravens are just going to put them in the casket tonight. I honestly think that that's what's going to happen here in this game. So I got the Ravens winning this game for probably at least 2 scores. I'd be shocked if they don't win this game by 2 scores, debating on how this ends up turning out.
Ravens Nation, shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. None of these slow start or close game. Go Ravens. Q, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I don't have to break this down, do I?
You can do it quick. Let's quick and easy.
Yeah. Just come on. Dolphins, they stink. Ravens don't. It's Thursday night at home for Miami, so maybe. But unless Lamar comes out there and tears his AC, knock on wood, I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but unless Lamar
whoa, Q.
Unless
wishing injury on players now. Come on.
No, unless he on the sideline during warmups accidentally bumps into Marquise Brown, Calais Campbell, and Marlon Humphrey, and they all pop their Achilles or something like that simultaneously as a group, and they cannot play today. That's the only, unless they get on the COVID list.
No, hold on. We know what Lamar. Listen, hopefully Lamar had a very small breakfast and lunch today, because we know it's not his knees, it's not his arm. Okay, his weakness is his stomach. Okay, eat light. Maybe just eat a salad or something before the game, and he'll be fine.
Tony, you keep saying that like it's a weakness for him. It's not a weakness that he has to use the bathroom. I have lived this.
Cleveland well knows.
Yeah. No, he comes back for that bathroom break like Pops and Friday, feeling 10 pounds lighter. And there's nothing you want to deal with than a Lamar Jackson that feel like he's 10 pounds lighter. No, I'm in on that.
He might have a boot. As he's running, he might have that nos.
He's like, I feel lighter. Whew, man, I'm about to hit this spin move and then throw the ball 50 yards downfield and find Pookie Brown. All right. So, no. Come on. This is a beat him down game, beat booty down game. This is a put him in the dirt special. This is a wrap. The game ain't started, but it's over. I plan on watching this for like the first half. If the Ravens make me watch this game for more than 3 quarters and make me watch more than 5 Jacoby Brissett drives, I'm going to be very upset at the Ravens. But I don't expect to, because the Dolphins, they're 1-8 at this point? Like, they are awful. They're an awful team. They're bad. Yeah. And it's like the Dolphins every year. You expect them to be good. Yeah. Huh?
2-7.
2-7. Okay. But every year you expect the Dolphins to be worth anything. They have been bad, but when the second you turn off that hope of them, they turn into a good team.
Last
right?
year.
Like they did that. They did it the last 2 years, right? When they were 0, we thought this team would go 0-16. They finished like 7-9 or something like that. So maybe they've hit that point to where everybody's like, all right, the Dolphins stink. Forget the Dolphins. We're not paying attention to them. And then they actually start like playing well, but other than that, man, like I have no reason to believe that they're going to be able to play well enough to beat the Ravens.
Okay, so this is something I will say. That's my hope. My question is the whole Thursday quick turnaround on the road. The Ravens have been excellent in Miami. In the past 2 times, Lamar specifically, I mean, Lamar Hollywood, they're all from the area, and they have beat them down. So on a Sunday, if this game was Sunday, I'll be like, yo, I'm good. Thursday's the only thing that scares me now. What I want, guys, I'm gonna be honest, I would like that by the third quarter, this game is so out of hand that I can say, I'm gonna sleep for an hour and a half before going to work. Because right now, I think I have no sleep before going to work. So this is what I want selfishly, and then finish the game when I come from work the last quarter because it didn't matter because Huntley played. The only thing that scares me is the Thursday night. The Dolphins right now, that D-line is not great. The secondary, you have Howard, but look, the Ravens receivers are playing better. Sammy Watkins should play in this game, so they another weapon in the passing game. So Lamar Jackson has the weapon. The O-line, which is right now on offense, definitely the weakest point. Well, this is not the best D-line, so even if the D-line can create some pressure, it's not going to be more pressure than some of the other teams that you already play this year. And on defense, you have Waddle. Waddle has playing okay. You have Gesicki, that's the tight end. That's usually their biggest weapon or target. And then you have Parker. All good receivers. But Brissett has played 7 games. So it's not like Brissett hasn't played. He's played more games than Tua this year. He's okay. The Ravens should not get beat by the Dolphins. Other than the Thursday road game, statistically, this game should be a wrap for the Ravens. The Ravens should be, okay, this is going to be one of those games that we should have Huntley by the time that the fourth quarter rolls in.
And
Tony.
Graven going to be in the building? Is this what I'm hearing? And Graven's in the
I
building?
can see that. He's from down that way.
He's from
okay.
I saw the tweet. The tweet is up 5:45 p.m. I'm on my way. Graven in the building.
And Raven has I think every time they play in Miami, he goes to the game. Every time he goes,
So he has seen some good stuff.
One thing before you send it to Tony, why does everybody in the NFL allow the Dolphins to get away with not only messing up the tank for Tua thing, messing up Joe Burrow, and then having the audacity to draft Tua with a hip injury over Justin Herbert? I've never seen so many people not criticize the Dolphins for that whatsoever.
Oh, because they were decent though last year, right? Like they were decent enough to where people didn't care about that. But the one thing I always talk about with them was they were choosing between Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick. And let me tell you something, none of those guys are good. So it is what it is with that decision. But they went 10-5 or 11-5 last year. So 10-6, I think last year. So nobody cared. And they had exceeded expectations under Brian Flores because, quite frankly, just were no expectations with how awful that team had been performing at the start of that era. So I think they skirted by. But, let them finish this. Wait till week 14. We're going to start dissecting these misses. Let me tell you something. It happens. Every team gets their turn. So they're going to start asking those questions of the Miami Dolphins, and the Miami Dolphin fans are going to start asking that question of their front office. And let's not also forget, they traded away Ryan Tannehill in that same time span, and Ryan Tannehill has been a very good quarterback since they've traded him. So, there's a lot of what Jarvis Landry was a trade that they gave up. There was still juice in that one. I get they probably didn't want to re-sign him at that point, but this didn't look like a good decision at that time. They have a ton of players on that Miami Dolphins roster, or it used to be on the Miami Dolphins roster. It turned out to still be very good. And they just kind of messed it away. But they went 10-6 last year, so nobody really cared. And then when we were talking about them this year, it was almost exclusively in the "are they going to trade for Watson" saga kind of deal there.
Right,
so we weren't really thinking about how trash they've been at quarterback. And then now we looking at them like, oh man, how did you get to a point to where you're choosing between Jacoby Brissett and Tua Tagovailoa? Where I actually think they have a better chance this week because it's Jacoby Brissett, because I don't think Tua's any good. So, at least Jacoby can throw the ball downfield with some velocity.
And the worst part is they beat us so that we would end up having the number 1 pick. They beat us in the Burrow Bowl. It was supposed to be the Tank for Tua Bowl, and they literally beat us in that game to push them out of the number 1 pick and lock us into it.
Oh, remember the narrative was you can't lose this year, right? You go Tua or you go Joe Burrow. And I'm like, every year we say that. There's definitely a loser. There is remember that we said that about 2015? Oh, you can't lose. 1 or 2. Mariota, Jameis Winston, you can't lose with those 2 dudes. They're both backups right now. Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, you can't lose with either of them. Yeah, you can with both of them. You can.
Well, the Wentz one is like a what if for me.
Is it?
What if Frank Reich never left Philly? And then the ACL thing. I mean, it's Wentz's turnovers that are his big issue. But
I've never seen people make as many excuses for Carson Wentz as he had that one great year, and then it's just been like downhill since then. And like even when he puts up some of the worst advanced seasons of all time, people are still like, hey man, 2015, 2016, he was still very good. And it's just like, I think we squeezed all the juice out that lemon, man. I think that was all that you had out that man.
That's what fans used to say about Andy Dalton. But 2015, Andy Dalton, though.
Yeah, this is what Falcon fans are saying about Matt Ryan right now, right? Like, oh yeah, he still got it, And then we ignore the fact that they still won the Super Bowl that year with Nick Foles. And, you might think Nick Foles is good. What that tells me is that team was good enough to win without a good quarterback. So maybe just being decent on that team would put up some good numbers. But yeah, man, it's one of them things where people are like, you can't miss this year with the quarterback. And you can't. You can always miss with the quarterback. I don't care how good the prospect is. He can miss.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Tony, I know you're going to have the Ravens take, but before we go there, Ace, can you just give us a quick prediction on the other games that I know you had to go? Quick prediction.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are going to beat the Lions, but I think that this could be a closer game than we all expect. I think Tony's been bringing the bad mojo because he's been talking bad about the Lions here for a couple of weeks.
Scrappy. They need that win.
I still think that they're going to pull it out.
Scrappy Lions.
The Steelers don't lose to these bad teams. They just have close games with them, and then they end up winning. And I think that that's what's going to happen here in this game. The Lions just aren't a good team. Like, honestly, it's just funny because anytime you watch anybody do a preview, a YouTuber or whatever with the Lions, everyone talks about that close game with the Ravens. And they're like, oh, man, this is a tough team. And but you know that they're going to blow the doors off of that team. That team is not good. We all know that everybody's not good. Yeah. They're not good. I don't think that their first win of the season is coming this week. Maybe they have a chance in a few weeks, but I don't think it's coming against Pittsburgh.
Okay. And then
by the way, the most overrated thing in sports. We played close with this really good team, so we're not that far away arguments. It's always like, I always tell people that is the biggest fool's gold. And it's only because I have seen so much losing in all 3 of my sports teams that I know, nah, man, it don't matter that you played the Heat hard in 2014 with Wayne Ellington and Sean Livingston. Your team's still garbage. They just had an off night. Like, it just is what it is.
That happens. Okay, Ace, and then Cleveland and the Patriots.
Cleveland and the Patriots. This actually was a game at the beginning of the season that I picked, I think, as a potential loss. We'll have to see how this one goes. The only reason I picked that was because it's Belichick in New England. So thinking about this game now, though, with everything on the line, I think that the Browns are going to get rolling. I think that it's still going to be a tough matchup, right? We really have to see what Mac Jones is really going to do. I haven't had the opportunity to watch Mac Jones, and now we will, with Cleveland playing them this weekend. But I still think that Cleveland is headed in the right direction. I think that, like Quincy has said, the Bengals kind of tend to be that get-right game for Baker, and then you also put in the timing of OBJ moving away. I think that this is when they're going to start to kind of shoot up. So I think they know that this is a game that they've got to win here. So I do see them going into New England and picking up a W. But I do think that this will be a highly contested game just because you got Bill Belichick, right? And the Patriots are doing some things on their end. They're having some success here recently in the past couple of weeks. The Mac Jones one, we can talk about days. Mac Jones or Mac Vontaze Burfict for days about that play last week. But I do think that the Browns are going to go in there and get a win.
Okay, so you have all AFC North teams winning.
It's a sweep. It's a sweep this week.
Okay, well, Ace, thank you, man. Take it easy, bro.
Yep, see ya.
Okay, Tony. The line right now, because I know we talk about lines of 7.5 for Ravens, right?
It's not. It's not anymore. It's not.
It
7.5.
moved.
It's,
What is it?
I have it anywhere between 9, 8.5, and 9. Although I'll look it up on the Florida here.
Do you wanna break down any of this game, by the way, or you just
no? This is nameless gray faces week for the Steelers and the Ravens. Okay, both of these teams. Oh, the line is closed now.
Look
On
at
my
that.
book. But 8.5 or 9 is what I was seeing it before. This is nameless gray faces week for the Ravens and Steelers. Okay, look, we're getting to a part of the season where as fan bases, we have to stop saying a win is a win, right? Wins are wins in September and October, but we're now into November, getting in the middle of November, going to get into December. I know it's a long season now. We go all the way into January now. So November is no longer November anymore, but still, how you're beating teams is going to start to matter. And by that, I mean, how you're playing, and the efficiency with which you can play is going to matter during this part, because the better you start to play now, better you're going to get as the season goes along. Roll that into the playoffs, right? Play your best football in January. That's what you want to start to see. And this Ravens team, like Ace said, they need to go out there and they need to just they need to put one on Miami, right? Just to show everyone still got it, right? And they did that to LA a couple weeks back to the Chargers. They really put one on the Chargers. This is a bad team. You guys have talked all about all the problems with Miami, but it doesn't matter, right? For the Ravens right now, it's about, let's just show that for 4 quarters of football, not for 2, for 4 quarters of football, this team can play like we know they can. Lamar Jackson playing well, that receiving core playing well. Obviously, you'd like to see that running game get going a little bit, and that defense play a 4-quarter game of football. But if they do that, they should be able to handle business. And I think that's what you have to start doing now. This is a nice get right game mid-season, little barometer test. Past that, and then their schedule down the stretch gets a little more difficult as they start playing more of these division games. But this should be an easy win tonight. But I would stay, having watched the Ravens. No, there's no way I'm taking the Ravens
Thursday night on the road as well. So
there's no way there's right now the way the Ravens are playing. I can easily imagine a world where this is a game in the 4th quarter, right? Where Lamar's doing his MVP thing, right? Oh, how are the Ravens down by 20 at halftime? This is crazy. And then it just Lamar throws for 900 yards in the second half, and it was like MVP. Here we go.
Okay,
it's a James Bond movie all over again.
Okay, so community vote is 68% Ravens winning. Justin Trumbull, thank you for the donation. Hey, Q, a few Browns players got the bag this week, especially the guards, specifically the guards. Do you worry about players underperforming after they get paid? I think those 2 players are coming from contracts already, right, Q?
Well, not Wyatt Teller, but Justin. Okay. But Joe Batonio, he's been paid for a while now, and Justin, I appreciate the super chat. I just hate when people come out with takes after a player gets paid. Oh, is he going to become fat and lazy now that he's gotten his money? It's like, no, most players can get paid and play well in the NFL, right? Like the league's not full of dudes who get paid a bunch of money and then just stink. Like usually Myles Garrett didn't just turn into a bum, right? He got better once you signed him. Like signing guys long term is actually
TJ's been okay. Can't confirm. TJ's been okay since they signed him.
Yeah, TJ, since they signed him, he didn't get fat and lazy to gain 300
Hasn't gotten fat and lazy yet. Nope.
Yeah. One Albert Hainsworth happens, and then people act like that's gonna happen every time you sign.
Look, okay. Albert Hainsworth happens, and there are more Albert Hainsworths, but like you're saying, it's rarer that happens than a guy just plays up to his contract. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk
about. He's re-signed by a team and not signed.
Well, and to Browns fans, I'll be fair to Browns fans on this one. Yeah, especially when you're re-signing your own guys. And I think to Browns fans, I'll be fair here. Not like we do this a lot. Like this is the first time where we have 7 guys retained on our team. Like maybe for Raven fans and Steelers fans, it's a little bit more obvious because y'all re-sign your own players all the time. Joe Bitonio is like the only dude we have on this team from like 2014 still. So, this is a new concept to us. We're used to signing free agents who come here and don't play well. But free agents are free agents for reasons because teams probably believe they can still play well. But when you get first dibs on a dude and you re-sign him, usually that dude's all right.
Oh, I do have a play in tonight's game. I just looked at this right now. The over-under in this game is 46. Give me the over. Give me the over. Because again, there's no way I see the Ravens actually losing this football game. The way that it goes under is in a very like Lions versus Ravens type matchup where the Ravens screw things up offensively and let the Dolphins back in it. I don't see that. I think that the Ravens, if they're going to win this game, they're going to get into the 30s. That means you got to hope that the Dolphins can score 2 touchdowns in this game. I think the way that the Ravens defense has been up and down, give me the over. Give me over 46 in this one.
Okay.
And also, Lamar is not only playing in front. Lamar and Hollywood Brown are not only presumably playing in front of their mamas tonight. They playing in front of it. Great.
Homeboy.
Like that's going to add an extra level of inspiration there. Like once they see Engraven, that's the dude from the YouTube videos. Oh, we got to turn it up for him. And Engraven going to have his camera out there. He going to record the whole thing, put up a 3-hour vlog. Because I remember when he did that when the Browns lost to him in 2018 and I had to watch it. So, shout
like
out,
a movie.
Shout out
By the way,
Engraven there, Ravens by 40.
The flock is traveling. I saw a lot of people on Twitter just putting pictures like, on our way to Miami. So we'll see how much the crowd, it might feel like a Ravens game. So A&M says go Steelers win this week. Okay, let me talk about the Steelers game because it's another game that it feels like a no-brainer. But I don't know what the line is, but I wouldn't bet for the Steelers any line, by the way. Any line at this point for the Steelers, you cannot bet the line.
Oh, you could take. I mean, look, if it was down, if they put this, they'll never do it. I mean, if I could find Steelers by 2.5 all day,
well,
and 2.5 or under, right? You can give me you say all the Steelers got to do is win by a field goal. That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Okay, so saying that, what do you think is going to happen in this game, Tony?
This is a nameless great face week. I don't care who. I don't care that it's the Lions. It could be any. It could be take any team right now that is significantly worse than the Steelers, and the Lions are that football team. I just need to see this team play 4 quarters worth of football. Again, just look, this team has won 4 games straight, but you don't come out of that 4-game winning streak impressed really with any of those wins other than obviously the Cleveland game because you got, that was the whole playoff revenge on the road, beating a division rival. Okay, you come away from that one, you're like, all right, impressed that this team was able to put that together, get over that. But otherwise, that you come out of the Denver game, the Seahawks game, the Bears game feeling the same way, which is how did you almost lose that one? Like they had it. And so, there's no lead in the first half of this game that's really going to make you feel safe, right? I mean, if the Steelers are up 20-0 at halftime, or Steelers, I'm not turning off the game.
Would be a loss against
I'm ready. I'm ready for that fourth quarter heart attack. Here we go. You want to get out. Obviously, you want to get out of this game without injury. That's I think the big thing in a game like this. The Steelers are expected to win. Would it shock me if they lost? No, because let's be honest. As I said, the Steelers should not be a 5-3 football team right now. The way that they've played down the stretch in all these football games means that they probably should have lost at least one of those games. They probably should be more like 4-4. And so if they're going to continue playing like that, even against a bad team like the Lions, more than capable
Is Claypool
losing
playing?
this. Claypool is probably not going to play week to week.
Okay. Week to
So
week.
you're going to see likely Anthony Miller play a little more in this one. Ebron's coming back. Boy, and this is like, you can kind of put the recipes for how this game gets screwed up, which is that the Steelers go more 12 without Gentry in the game, but with Ebron can't block as well. The running game never gets going early in the football game.
For Ebron?
Right, yeah, and then it just, well, there is, hold on a minute. That's a great point, actually. Maybe we got like an Ebron 2 touchdown. Look up the player props on Eric Ebron touchdowns in this, so man, I'll take the massive over in that one. Yeah, no, I mean, look, you can certainly line up ways where the Steelers kind of work in personnel that they haven't worked in weeks past, and the mojo gets messed up offensively. But for me, it's more about the defense in this game. Right, 4 quarters of quality defense here against Jared Goff and a team that doesn't have great receivers. Look, I understand Justin Fields is going to be a very good quarterback in this league, and coming out of that game last week, a lot of people are saying, "Wow, Justin Fields really showed something." It disappoints me, though, that happened against my Steeler defense, right? A Steeler defense that, again, Steeler fans want to believe can still be a top 5 defense in this league. Boy, that's a rookie quarterback going out there, and he's always having his best performance of the year. That shouldn't happen, especially in a Monday night game in Heinz Field. And so, boy, you can't let Jared Goff do anything even close to that in this one. Get some pressure on him, get some turnovers. This game has to be won defensively. This is a game where the Steelers should win easily. The 9 points should be easily laid in this game. And yet, as a Steelers fan, I sit here today and I say, do not lay the points. Don't even go close. And I would stay away from everything in this game. There's probably some player props I'll like as we get closer to Sunday and we figure out who's going to play and who's not. But otherwise, I think the Steelers are going to win, but any result is possible.
Okay. Hey, Q, go Browns. Tell these people not to get excited because the Browns are going to win the division this year. And by the way, Matthew, you look like you are in the military. I forgot to mention, shout out to all those veterans. Shout out to everybody that, works hard in the military, that fought for our freedom. Shout out to all of you and Veterans Day. Q.
Yeah, so we talk about the Steelers-Lions game.
Yeah. You can make it quick.
My biggest question for this game is who plays better defense, the Steelers defense or the Lions offense? Because there's a debate there. There's a debate there that could be had. The Steelers' biggest weakness is they can be attacked downfield a little bit. We saw what Allen Robinson was able to do. If you can block the defensive line, you can attack them. Well, the Lions don't have a great offensive line, and they have no deep threats. So no, this ain't gonna. They have nothing that can threaten this Pittsburgh Steelers front. Their strength, if you had to say it, would be running the ball. They're not good at it, and this is the Steelers defense that has routinely shut down Cleveland's running offense. So no. This is a wrap for the Lions this week. Yeah. I don't believe them to even come close. As far as Pittsburgh's offense goes, yeah, they'll put up 20 points. They'll be fine. They'll be serviceable. You know what I mean? They're not going to blow your mind or anything.
20 points is not enough, Q. 20 points means hard attack fourth quarter. Okay, I need 30. Give me 30 so I don't have to worry about this game.
You really think the Lions going to put up more than 10?
Yeah, the Lions are going to put up 17. Yeah, this is going to be a 20-17 Steelers classic.
Jared Goff will throw for 2 touchdowns.
Whether they run him in, whether Ray McLeod decides to just here, would you like this? Would you like maybe they run some idiotic fake field goal? The Steelers invent new ways. Look, this is my favorite thing about the Steelers this year.
Unless Ben throws a pick 6, they're not getting to 10 points.
He hasn't thrown a pick in. I'm not going to say that.
Or there's a fumble scoop.
Never mind.
Well, hey,
I'm not putting that out there. I'm not throwing it out. I wouldn't know.
Was it New England 2018?
Wouldn't know. I who can remember? It's the time flies.
I will say this. The Steelers should win this game. The Steelers need to win this game also because they want to keep in pace as 6-3. It will look nice. And now you're talking about probably the 5th seed still. So
I don't know. You can't. Well, you're going to disagree here. But if the Steelers get to 6-3, I'm going to start talking about the division because they didn't lose any stupid games. And now you're going to have Tomlin teams against good teams. I kind of like my chances better, as I've said in the past. I like my chances with Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger against the better teams than I do the worst teams. So they get through this stretch here with no losses against bad teams. It's going to be hilarious, but this Steelers team may actually win the division, and boy, would that make for just a hysterical offseason.
I'm ready to bet with you that one. I'll take the field. You tell me the Bengals, I might hear. You tell me the Cleveland, sure. Steelers, I don't see it. I'm not saying they don't make the playoff, by the way. I'm just saying the division. I just want to be clear on that. So saying that, look, the Steelers should win. I heard a rumor that Jared Goff might not play in this game because they might bench him for whoever the other dude was. I don't know if it's going to be a reality. I didn't even know who the other dude was.
Oh, wait, if the backup plays, that puts Pittsburgh in peril.
There was a rumor that Ben may not play in this game because of the shoulder. And by the way, I didn't talk about that because I was driving at the time. But there was a thing, the whole shoulder thing after the game.
David Blau.
That's it. David Blows. That's his name. There was a reporter after the game that said that, and I'm surprised he said this because you're not allowed to talk about what you see at practice. But he said what he saw at practice made him think that Ben may not have played Monday night because that shoulder was so bad. So it didn't surprise me to see that he may not play this week. But we'll see.
So, but the Lions, as people like to say, they're a scrappy team. And this scrappiness will let them to lose by 10, I think, in this week. I think the Steelers should have one of those games that they cover. Look, this is the main thing. You know what the Lions like to do? I don't think the Steelers are that good against this, is throwing to the running back. This is a Devin Bush type of game. Let's see how he plays. Covering that running back coming out of the backfield, either running back, right? They do it for both, leaking out of the backfield. If Devin Bush can hold him, then it's going to be a non-close game, which is what I'm expecting. Luis Cousins here says, Sonny, will the Ravens win the division? I think so. I think right now they're sitting pretty, but I'm not guaranteeing it. I think all 3 of the 4 teams can win the division.
You want to hear the odds on the division? Because I think the odds have actually moved in favor of the Browns.
I'm sure they have. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, for the Patriots game?
No. For the division.
Go ahead.
They take them down. They take them down before the game. I hate when they do that. They took the lines down. The last I can remember, it was like the Ravens were favorites. So I think it was like even. So it was like minus 110. The Browns were like plus 285. The Steelers were plus 400, and the Bengals were like plus 600.
Okay.
So 4-1, 6-1, 2-1, 2.5-1, and then the Ravens are basically even.
Okay. So Soul Train here says, always enjoy AFC North talk, sending more positive vibes like Tony's hat. And
Positive
Joe
vibes only.
Smith here says, Lions getting their first win this week. Look, the one thing is, it's hard to go 0-16, right? And we've seen it happen, but it's hard to go 0-16. Who's that one team? You don't want to be that one team. Matthews here says, don't forget the same Lions team was a 67-yard field goal away from beating the Ravens. This is probably going to be a better game than expected.
I don't know if this is a troll, but you know, Sonny, this right here bothers me. This narrative, and I know you're trolling every time you say scrappy Lions, but it really does bother me because they're not scrappy Lions. The Ravens dropped 3, not 1, not 2, 3 sure thing touchdowns, but should have extended that lead to multiple scores. And if it was, and you know what, that didn't even need to happen because if Lamar doesn't throw an absolute early Christmas gift late in that football game to give them back the football.
We want to make it interesting. We don't need the refs.
There's no 67-yard field goal. There's no scrappy Lions.
Are they going to go 0-16?
They might.
They're not. They're not.
They have a home Thursday night game against the Bears.
Yeah, that's
not Thursday. It's a home Thanksgiving.
I like them
game.
to win next week. I think whoever they have next week, I like them to win.
Shut up. You know who they play next week.
Who they play? Oh, they play the Browns?
Yeah, he knows. He knows who they play next week. I knew. I knew exactly what he was going for. Okay.
Man. By the way, the community says Steelers 52% of the community has
what?
Game.
What 52%?
Here we go.
Come on. Have y'all?
Well, I told you if we ever get the 50-50, I can
nobody
so
watched 4 quarters of the Lions play football because I have, and I regret it. They're not good. They're awful. Like, I understand that they came close to beating the Ravens, but honestly, the Ravens came close to beating the Ravens that day. Like, that was one of them, like, oh, if the Ravens don't win this one, they have nobody but themselves to blame because the Lions played like garbage in that game, too. They put up 17 points, and they got like 3 turnovers gifted to them. No, the Lions ain't winning, man. They just got blown out by like 35 points by the Eagles.
They lost like 41-6. Yeah, 41-6, I believe. Was
by Jalen Hurts. You didn't think he was capable of putting up 44 points?
They ran all over them. So we'll see.
I really want to give the Lions the benefit of the doubt because I did not watch that game whatsoever, but I really hope they just missed the extra point, and that's how they ended up at 6. I really hope that they didn't pathetically.
They might have gone for 2. No, it was like a late scrappy go for 2 moment. You know, the scrappy Lions.
Like, they're bad, man. They're a really bad football team, and I get they're not beating the Steelers. They have nothing that would suggest that would be a possibility, unless like TJ Watt just doesn't play.
Yeah, scrappy Lions. They scored a late touchdown, went for 2 in that one to make it 41-6.
Well, you gotta make the game close. Lions. You gotta make it a 5-score game. You know what I mean? Like you gotta play the math. You gotta do the math on that one.
Yeah, that's the analytics. Okay, let's go to the real. I think it's supposed to be the only strong matchup in the AFC North this week.
It's marquee adjacent. It's marquee adjacent.
I mean, the Patriots are always a team that you have to, even when they're not great. But right now they're a ascending team, right? They have been playing better. So I'm gonna start here with Q at the bat. What are your expectations for this game? You don't want it. So remember, I know a lot of fans here say, Q, you were the one that made fun of Mac Jones, and I would say to this Q's defense, because I was also part of the argument that Mac Jones should have made the third pick, but he should have been in the mid portion of the first round, and that's what Q said. It wasn't like he was not a first round pick.
Yeah,
But
everybody
people
tries to
bully-
tries to like form your argument so they can make it possible to dunk on you. What I said about Mac Jones is like, yeah, you should go 15th, maybe. But like, I wouldn't trade up 3 first-round picks to get him. That wouldn't make much sense when you already have Jimmy Garoppolo. And when you look at what he's done for the Patriots, I mean, it looks like Jimmy Garoppolo, essentially, right? It looks competent. It looks okay. He has a nice touch. He has a good enough arm. And he really does have some nice touch on some downfield throws. He can make some, if they're vertical windows downfield, he can make those throws. Not saying he has a deep, like he's not Justin Herbert. He doesn't throw the ball downfield. But if they're vertical windows about 15 yards downfield, he can make those throws. He really does struggle under 15 when he has to put zip on the ball. He has no zip. He's very similar to Jimmy Garoppolo in that respect. But yeah, he's serviceable. And that's what I'll say about this Patriots offense. It's competent. It's a competent offense. It's not winning them any games. The last 2 games they have won have been because of turnovers. They got 3 against the Carolina Panthers, 4 against the Carolina Panthers, and then they got pick 6 against the Chargers, which ended up being pretty much the difference in that game.
the defense has been playing well.
Yeah, the defense. Well, part of the defense is playing well. The back end of that defense is playing well. The secondary is playing well. They have some good safeties. McCourty's now a safety. Devin McCourty, not Jason McCourty. And then their front line's fine. They have Dietrich Wise and Matt Judon. They've been playing well. The inside's okay. They're serviceable defense. They've been getting a lot of turnovers because of the secondary. But they have an issue with their linebackers. Their linebackers can stop the run well. They're not very good in pass coverage, and that's going to be an issue for them this week. The biggest weakness that they have is one of the Browns' strengths. When we talk about the Browns' frustrations with Odell, what was it? Kareem Hunt and tight ends run this offense, right? Like they run this offense even in the passing game. That's what they can't stop in New England. That's what they have an issue stopping. And for a team where you're going up against a team that runs a lot of 3 tight ends, that's going to be issue. Also, what I've heard a lot about this game when people break it down is, well, Bill Belichick, the classic cliche with Bill Belichick, he's going to make you play left-handed. He's going to take away what you like. And yeah, obviously Bill Belichick's not going to go into this game like, man, if they got Nick Chubb healthy, let's just let him run the ball. But there are sacrifices to be made if you commit in that direction. If they really do commit to stopping the run, that means they have to put more linebackers on the field. The Browns run a ton of 12 personnel. So if you put more linebackers on the field, when the ones you start already can't cover that well, you're going to leave yourself susceptible to some huge gashes on the play action pass side, especially with how well Baker throws to those tight ends and the running backs. So I don't think that's going to be the direction he goes there. I just don't think the Patriots match up well with the Cleveland Browns defense. They are built to stop teams like the Chargers, who relentlessly push the ball downfield and have these volatile situations so they can create turnovers. That's not what Cleveland is. Cleveland is not going to do that. They're going to take their shots when they feel like there's a shot to be taken. But, unless they do some major trickery and disguise their coverages so well that Baker just throws a bunch of interceptions this week, I don't think that they're going to have the type of performances that they have had the last 2 weeks against the Browns. Offensively, again, they kind of play into the Browns' hand. They don't really push the ball downfield. They go underneath a lot. If JOK comes back, it's really going to be something that the Browns are strong at. If he's not out there, they're still okay in that area. I don't expect him to put up no points. They'll probably put up 14, 17, maybe even 20 points if the Browns defense is having an off day. But ultimately, I think in both sides of this game, the Browns match up favorably. This is a game, even though it's on the road in New England, that they should win. And these are games that you have to win at this point, right? If you want to still have a shot at the division, and if you want to keep your wild card hopes in your own hands, these are games that you have to win. So, yeah, I'm not being disrespectful to the Patriots offense or defense. I think they're fine. I think the defense right now is getting a little bit overrated because people are talking about them as like one of the best defenses in the NFL. I don't think they're even better than Pittsburgh's defense right now. But what they have there is good enough that if you're not playing well, they can beat you, right? They're a team very similar to the Vikings, where, hey, if you slip up and have a bad game, they can beat you. But they're not necessarily a team that like keeps you up at night.
Tony, what do you think about this game?
An interesting one. It's a real interesting one. It's so the line on this game is 2.5. It really hasn't moved all week, which is weird. Which is weird because Nick Chubb has this COVID thing now. So does Dearness Johnson.
But both of them should
Not
be in the game.
Demetric Felton. Dearness is
sorry.
Dearness is
both of them should be because they're
vaccinated.
They're vaccinated, so they could test negative for 2 days. But here's the thing with that: even if you have the vaccine and you get COVID, you're still going to test positive for COVID. It might not have adverse effects, but it doesn't. The vaccine doesn't make the virus, if you get it, disappear any faster than it would if you didn't. It just makes the symptoms of it less severe.
Yeah. So I'm surprised to see that, and then the line really not move much. Although maybe Vegas agrees with my take about the running back situation. Who knows?
Adrian Peterson did happen.
Look, I'm looking at the numbers here, and I know you're saying that the Patriots defense, better against the pass than it is the run. But I'll tell you what, these numbers disagree with you, Q. By EPA, top 5 defense in the league, top 6 run defense on an EPA per play basis for New England. So, and they're top 5 and by the way, top 5 in DVOA, which opponent adjusts as well. I'm trying to look at their rushing DVOA versus their passing DVOA, but the
they haven't really played
any
any impressive run offenses though.
Yeah, clearly this is this is kind of the final boss, or I guess the Ravens.
This is the start because they play the Titans eventually here too, and then.
Yeah, I'd say this is like the Browns are the toughest test. You're very rarely, between the Browns and the Ravens, those are your kind of 2 toughest tests when it comes to allowing teams to run the football. What I think has been interesting about this Patriots team, though, is the defensive side. I think we knew they were going to get better defensively because they had like 10 COVID holdouts last year defensively, right? I mean, they were so depleted a year ago from a personnel perspective, and they've gotten everybody back. The Twitter film guys are talking up Christian Barmore and what he's been able to do in the last couple of weeks in the defensive line. He slipped in the draft, the kid from Alabama. It's a very bad defensive line class, but I guess he's been playing well. Well, what's been more interesting to me, though, is what they've been able to do offensively, because I think this is kind of an extension of what Belichick wanted to turn this offense into at the end of Tom Brady's career, which is, very much a kind of power offense built around running the football and a lot of 12 personnel. They got Jonnu Smith now. They got Hunter Henry. They're not lighting the world on fire by any means because they got Mac Jones back there. But I think they're kind of figuring out what Mac Jones likes to do and just, keeping things. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but like Mac Jones is the top 5 quarterback by PFF grades. Now, obviously, how I feel about PFF grades.
Down to earth.
Yeah, this is just another one of those, like, chalk this up. Like, we like PFF grades. Do we agree that Mac Jones is the 5th best quarterback in the National Football League? Because if you like PFF grades, then you like the fact that Mac Jones is the top 5 quarterback in the league.
Well, I mean, PFF grades are really meant to be evaluated at the end of the year, not really as much as we dissect.
Oh, right now, it's as of now, right? This is what they've graded.
I just think that's a flaw in how we look at it, because we look at it and we go, oh yeah, the PFF grades suck. This player
I like PPR a little bit more,
but it's like it's a cumulative thing that's supposed to show you over the year where they stood, and like in there, it's not as bad. But I get what you're saying.
Well, I mean, but if it's up, but again, if you're saying don't cherry pick week by week, I mean, this is the full sample size we're taking. It's all we have. But I do like what PFF's done. I mean, the PFF thing that I like, of course, is all their advanced statistics. The fact that they can chart for me how often a guy plays in the slot versus how often a guy plays outside, and his numbers in each spot. That I think is really where PFF has its advantage. And I do I really like what New England's been able to do with this offense. Their offensive line lost some talent. I think they lost Thuney last year, but that really hasn't affected much. They're able to run the football. They got they got Damian Harris, who's really, really underrated. I liked a lot of the tape he put out last year, but again, that team last year with Cam Newton, that defense wasn't going anywhere, and he's kind of picked up right where he left off. The wide receiver group isn't great. It's just, I think this is going to be a game which I think is going to be really, really close. I think Vegas has set the line pretty much right. I mean, I think it's going to be a field goal game either way. And the reason why I say that is this reminds me a lot of that Steelers and Browns game, where when you have 2 teams like this who are both going to come out in these kind of 12 personnel, we're going to run the football, we're going to kind of shove the ball down the field, well, you're going to end up with a very short game, right? You're going to shorten the number of drives, or we're going to go from an average of 12 drives per team to probably an average of probably somewhere between 8 or 9. And that's going to limit the scoring opportunities. And when you limit the scoring opportunities, it keeps the score down, keep the score closer. Yeah, I look. This game is in New England, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So give me New England by a field goal. I think Vegas hit the number right on the head. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that these two teams, like, it's a really interesting matchup because if Chubb doesn't play and you have to go to Dearness Johnson, Belichick and what he can do defensively to put this game on Baker Mayfield's plate. We've seen Baker play really, really well without OBJ, but it is going to be more on Baker's plate, and we'll see him versus Mac Jones. It's a Quincy special.
Tony, you should. This is a Tony special too, because you think you're saying Nick Chubb is the reason why you're not going to pick them.
I know.
The Browns are better without Nick Chubb.
Right. This is the problem with being the meme guy, is that every once in a while you have to like break out of the meme to give everyone your real thoughts, but then you go back to meme town.
Man.
Yeah.
No, man. They got Dearness Johnson. They should be better because he sees it clear. Right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, the meme Tony thinks if Dearness plays in this game, Browns by a blowout because they're being brought down by Nick Chubb, their worst running back on the roster.
I have a question. I have a trivia for y'all.
His value.
I have a trivia for y'all. QBR. Let's talk about QBR. Mac Jones. Is he higher or lower than Lamar?
Higher. The AFC North sucks in the QBR.
No, he's lower than Lamar.
No, he's lower because he doesn't go downfield at all. QBR.
So
I thought Lamar's QBR was like 65. Is it gone up?
I'll put the QBRs later. But is he over or higher than Joe Burrow?
Higher, because everyone else sucks.
I
know the rest of them. The rest of them are like 50, 40, 40.
Joe Burrow has like the league in interceptions, and he's thrown like 5 of them in the fourth quarter or in the red zone. So
he's higher.
QBR is like 35 or 40 last time I checked.
He's higher, and then is he higher or lower than Baker?
He's higher than Baker. Baker's also got a bad QBR this year.
But Baker, I don't know.
He's higher than Baker, and then Big Ben.
Yeah, of course he's higher. Ben has like one of the worst QBRs in the league.
So Lamar Jackson is 11th in QBR with 58. By the way, the highest right now is Matthew Stafford with 69.7. Mac Jones
that formula this year.
They had to have changed it, right? Because last
year everybody was over 80.
Yeah, it was like, hey, you get an 80, you get an 80. Everybody gets an 80.
Mac Jones is 21st with 48.9. Then
you just had a number in the single digits or teens, they would give you an 80 in QBR. Like, even if you were like a wide receiver throwing the ball, like, yeah, you're probably an 80.
The next quarterback in the AFC North is Joe Burrow with 48.7. Then Baker at 25th with 44.3. And then Big Ben at 27th of 33 quarterbacks.
33. Okay. I saw this.
Yeah, he's 42.4. He's 27th. Look, this is a game that I think it's going to be tough. But I think the Browns have a good enough defense to confuse Mac Jones and to make them uncomfortable. I think what the Browns will do is like say what most teams probably should do against New England. Mac Jones, beat me with your arm. And if you can beat me with your arm, shout out to you. But the Browns even have the secondary to contest against, because who's New England's wide receiver? Their wide receiver is not
Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry.
They're not great, right?
They really Harris out of the back. Myers a lot too, because that's
they used to Kobe Myers. Yeah. But they're nothing special there. So I think the Browns defense should be better. And then still with that, the Browns possess the power of pressuring you without having to blitz you. Now, on the other side, we talk about the flip side because New England's defense does get a lot of hype. And here I agree with Q a little bit. I think the New England's defense is good. But New England's defense also have played a lot of mediocre teams that help with those stats, right? I mean, nothing against it. That division is nothing great, nothing special. I think the Browns here is going to be one of those games they're just going to pound the ball. They're going to pound the ball, even if it's just the earnest, right? Like they usually do. They key on play action and then hit it with the tight end. I think Q hit it on the mark, and I don't know how this New England team stopped them, right? I do think it might be close, but closest for me is probably like 6 points to a touchdown. But I don't think it's going to be a game that it feels... even though if it is close on the score, that it feels like it was close. You know what I'm saying? So I think I'll say Browns by 6, but I don't think Browns fans are gonna be like, "Oh my god, we're gonna lose this game." It's gonna be one of those games like, "Damn, we are only winning by 6." Right? You see the style playing like we should be winning by more, but we're only winning by 6. I think that's gonna be that type of game. But I think I'm gonna go with the Browns. So Tony goes Patriots, me and Q and Ace go.
You're picking against your boy here, Sonny.
Who? Who's my boy?
Judon.
Judon? Yeah, no, he stopped being my boy when he left. I unfollow every Raven player that leaves. I unfollow. There's very
Wow,
few.
that's
so
it.
hard. But
You
his
don't love the
love
player
for Matthew
jersey.
Judon started this show because it was our roast of Matthew Judon.
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
That's right.
He was like, we're gonna
No, they
create
leave
it with Matt Judon. Like Matt Judon.
Matt Judon, baby. Well, he has been fairly good for the Patriots so
It's been
far.
good. I mean, listen, the Patriots are full of solid talent. Kyle Van Noy, J.C. Jackson, Devin McCourty.
Hey, don't forget about Cleveland's unsung hero over there, Mr. Collins.
That's right. Jamie Collins is there. Did I say Dante
forgot he
Hightower?
played
He's
for
there too.
Cleveland.
I mean,
Yeah.
they just got to. I mean, it's like a really solid defense. No one. They don't have like a T.J. Watt or a Myles Garrett. Yeah, exactly. They're not a flashy team. They're like the no-name defense.
Yeah, they're a very solid team. They're the epitome of like they'll go over 500 by like a game or two. You know what I mean? Like they'll ruin a couple team seasons. You just hope it ain't yours. But you should beat them, right? Like they're like the Raiders every year. The Raiders are like this. I don't know if they're gonna be like that this year because they got a lot going on in that whole situation. But it's like the Raiders, the Vikings. Like they're good enough. Luis, we already talked about OBJ to the Rams earlier in this video. Appreciate the super chat, though. But is anybody talking about if OBJ is going to ruin Matt Stafford? Because I know Baker's QBR is terrible, but also, well, yeah, Baker's QBR is terrible, and I saw a lot of Browns fans going like, "See, that's why QBRs are terrible." No, Baker's QBR should be terrible because he was not very good in the first 8 weeks of this season. Whether you chop that up to Odell being there, not like let's not kid ourselves. The play had been awful, especially like in some of these games, like the Minnesota one. The play had been really bad. So I'm excited to see against a better defense. Well, I don't know if they're a better defense than the Bengals, but see what the carryover is week to week to what people were saying last week. Baker did look comfortable.
Yeah,
Baker did look like he was ready to throw the ball a lot easier. I want to see if that continues. We'll see what happens there defensively. I want to see if some of the positive signs we saw from them were more about them, or was that about the Bengals having a bad game, right? Like I want to see what holds up from week to week. I know that the NFL is not linear at all when it comes to progression, but it'd be interesting to see what we see here from the Browns offensively, given that the common talking point was to act like the Bengals defense is garbage. Because
it has been very bad the last 2 weeks. It has been.
Yeah, it's been bad against Mike White.
Very bad.
Well, I mean, Mike White might just be the guy. You know what I mean? Mike White just might be the guy. We don't know this.
That might be Matt White to the Steelers next year, Tony. Trade a first-round pick for him.
Mike White to the Steelers? He wants. Tomlin wants a vet. I don't know if second year qualifies as a vet.
Hi, Nikki.
Not sure. Oh, well, listen, don't.
Well, he plays like a vet
all day. That's true. He does play.
No,
like
you get Mike White and then you sign Tyler Heineke to be the backup, man.
Tony might be the.
Taylor Heineke is backing up anybody.
I would take that over Aaron
Brady,
Rodgers
right?
any day of the week.
He's practically beating Tom Brady in a playoff game. Watch it. It was in January. I do want to say, Baker going to New England. I mean, this is still this is always going to be with Belichick there. This is always going to be a tough out for anyone, going there. You look at Brady's return, right? Everyone's like, oh, Brady's going back and he's gonna crush the Patriots. That was a 2-point game. They'd win on a field goal at the end. It's a tough ask for anybody to go to that stadium and win a football game against Belichick and that defense.
And I don't know if this is like going to factor in anything, but Bill Belichick is a Baker Mayfield stan. He is a true, I'm not kidding. This wasn't one of those draft things. Apparently he is a Baker Mayfield stan.
He was going to trade up for him, right?
Yeah, he was going to trade up for him.
Yep.
I think if he were to be let go, I think he would try to sign Baker Mayfield. He is a Baker Mayfield stan. So I don't know if that affects, because a lot of people talking about this just let Baker beat you. I don't know if that's how Bill Belichick sees it.
I thought Bill was like that for all Browns players. If you cut somebody close to New England,
it's worked out.
I know.
It's worked
know.
out. They won a Super Bowl with
Multiple
times.
Danny
Point,
Shelton, who didn't help the Browns win a single game in his entire 10 years of Cleveland Brown. And then what else? What other greats that the Patriots have gotten off the Browns and then traded us old Willie McGinnis? Like, you know what I mean? Or the retired terrible coaches. Or
Every
we
time
have
you cut
Romeo
somebody, you
Crennel
sign them.
and Eric Mangini and all these old Patriots that are past their prime, and they getting all of our young talent. I remember they had Courtney Brown on the team, and he put together a couple of good seasons there in New England. Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick has made a career off of stealing from his old team, the only team that fired Bill Belichick, by the way, and Nick Saban.
Technically, the Jets didn't the Jets technically fire Bill Belichick because he was there for like a day?
Never got him. They never got him.
He was there for like a day.
Yeah,
I think he resigned.
He said, "Nah, bro, I'm not about to coach the Jets." That was a
Who's-
Bill Belichick decision. Like that wasn't the Jets making.
Well, they got Parcells back, right?
Because who is it that they said did the same thing to the Jets a couple of years ago, and they've been pissed off at him?
No, I
Did
think
somebody
you're
do that?
no,
Somebody did that. Somebody did it.
Somebody did that to the Colts. They did it to the Colts. It was
Colts. Yeah.
it was God, what's his name? The
OC.
Was it the offensive coordinator?
Yeah, the guy who drafted Tebow.
The jerk.
Josh
McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels. That's him. Thank you.
I said jerk, and then he popped up into my head. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. The Patriots have been trading us their trash for years. Now I think we've been giving them some trash for them to take up, because last year I think they had Jason McCourty on their roster, and other extremist Browns. I think the Texans really took up all our garbage. Like you play the Texans, you're like, oh yeah. There goes five dudes. There goes Christian Kirksey. I didn't know he was still in the league. He's on the Texans. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, fun fact: Bill Belichick, Baker Mayfield stand. Don't know what that means at all. But yeah.
Okay. Two important games to watch in the AFC this week. I mean, I know the Browns are probably still. They are still in contention for the division title because they haven't played the Ravens yet. But if they are going to be a wild card team, this is a matchup that they're going to need to win just for seeding purposes potentially, or just tiebreaker to get in purposes. Is the Patriots have the exact same record. Yeah, they're both 5. These are 2 5-4 teams. And by the way, we have two 5-4, 5-3 teams playing each other this week when the Raiders play the Chiefs. So I know everything's bunched up right now. We are going to get a little natural separation there because of those 4 teams playing one another.
Start actually winning games here soon because I don't.
It just feels like I think the Chiefs are going to kind of win that division by default because it does feel like the Raiders and Chargers are probably destined more for. Yeah, they're destined more for like the 9 or 10 wins potentially, and it feels like this Chiefs team, the back half of the schedule they start turning it on. They're an 11-win team probably.
I hope they win that division because I'm not trying to see them as a wild card team. Nobody I would not want to win my division.
As a wild card team, you're going to end up playing the Chiefs because they won't get a bye.
Yeah, well, I mean, either way, you're going to run into the Chiefs. But I'm like, if you won your division, went through all of the strafe and celebration it is to win your division, just to be like, all right, man, you got the Chiefs as the 7th seed.
True.
Nah. Whatever the Chiefs do, you want to do too, right? Either you lose your divisions with the Chiefs or you win your division with the Chiefs.
Exactly right.
But nobody trying to get to the playoffs and play the Chiefs in the first round. That's like when the Titans won their division. It was like, all right, you get the Ravens. Like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Oh, I like this question a lot.
I still have my rookie Shelton jersey. What's the worst jersey y'all have?
See, this is why I don't get jerseys.
So we've done this before, but Sonny?
Yeah, so to be fair, I don't buy jerseys until the player's been proven. For the first time in forever, I bought 2 jerseys of 2 unproven players, Bateman and Owe. I ordered them. I have them coming all the way to beautiful England over here. Before that, I never bought a Joe Flacco jersey. I never owned a Joe Flacco. I basically own all defensive players.
Weddle?
Players.
You had Weddle?
No, because when I get like an older veteran, although I love Weddle, I don't buy their jersey. My jerseys have to last more than 1 year, right? And I never knew how many years. Like one of my favorite players all time, and then he came to the Ravens, Steve Smith, but I was not about to buy his jersey. So
You should get those classic players. I mean, it's not like if you have a
that's
Ray
what I'm
Lewis
saying with
jersey
the
right now, like you
Ravens.
can just wear a Ray Lewis jersey whenever you want.
yeah,
It's Ray
so I have
Lewis.
a Ray
You
Lewis.
could just
You
get
know
the
what?
AR Reed.
I
They've
think
been
my
wearing the
ex-
same jersey since they became into existence, so it ain't even outdated. Like
Yep.
you have
Yeah.
that luxury.
Yeah, I mean, like Steeler fans, you have Jerome Bettis jersey or Rod Woodson jersey. Like, you still see those every time you go to Heinz Field.
I know
Slightly more
Tony's.
sad
Right?
than the Ravens. Well,
I know Tony's horse jersey.
Who is it?
Cordell Stewart.
Artie
No.
Burns.
First of all, Cordell Stewart wouldn't be a bad jersey. How dare you? How dare you? Cordell Stewart is my favorite player.
Artie
how dare
Burns.
I have surmised this, Tony.
Yes, Artie Burns. I happen to own an Artie Burns jersey.
Woo!
Not a great purchase. Do the Steelers have a 25 yet? Every year it changes, like who it is now. I can act like it's a Ryan Clark.
Jersey.
You just got to take the back off it. Then it's a Ryan Clark jersey. That's not a bad 25. It was Antoine Brooks last year. Let me look up the Steelers roster real quick. And
Do you still have it
Dude,
like in
who's
your
your-
possession?
Who's your bad jersey, Q?
I don't own jerseys.
Okay.
I have like a t-shirt jersey. So like I have a Jabril Peppers that my brother gave me for Christmas one time. That I just act like it's a Grant Delpit, but it's the old Browns number, so I can't even act like it's a Grant Delpit. But back in the day, got a Brady Quinn because we both had names that started
Ooh.
with Q. Yeah,
There
Brady
you
Quinn,
go.
number 10. Yeah, I was just like, it's my jersey. Got my name on it, Quinn.
Mhm.
So, that was one. I think I had a Kellen Winslow jersey, which, can't rock that one. but I
Nah,
got that
not
when I was
wearing that
12.
one around anymore.
A lot of
I got that
promise.
when I was 12. Well, man, I mean, it ain't even about the promise of what he did on the field, Sonny. Go Google Kellen Winslow and
Oh,
ask me if you
yeah.
wanna wear
There's
that
not.
jersey. Yeah.
That's not an on the field one. That's not an embarrass because he was bad.
We're probably
Okay.
going to be demonetized because we mentioned his name. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Luckily,
but
we're an hour and
it's-
a half in.
yeah. So I don't do jerseys for that specific reason. I have been in Cleveland too long to just trust that I'm scared to get a Myles Garrett jersey because I feel like I'm gonna buy that jersey, gonna snap his ACL and never be the same again. Like
Fine. He's already a classic, though. He's a classic. You're fine.
no, he's not. He's not a classic yet. If Myles Garrett destroyed his
In
ACL,
Browns, not to be that guy, but for the Browns,
yeah, you're being condescending.
He's-
No, because if
have
Myles
more
Garrett
than
went
one good
down
year?
right now,
congratulations. You're on the Browns Hall of Fame or whatever they do.
the
Yeah,
only
but they got
jersey you
classics.
could rock from like the
Mike
new
Brown.
Browns.
Yeah, Jim
that isn't
Brown.
a bad player.
Brown.
Yeah, the classic is Jim Brown, and then like maybe a Bernie Kosar, but like Bernie ain't that good that you could just rock his jersey
Joe
30
Thomas,
years later.
73, right?
Joe Thomas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
he's a
don't-
good one.
I'm not wearing no damn offensive lineman jersey. That's not. I'm
Derek
not doing
Anderson?
that.
How about a Derek Anderson jersey? He went to the playoffs.
Did you? No, you didn't.
How about a Brian Hoyer? Look,
Yeah,
Brian
he
Hoyer
was
from
the
when they
playoff.
were like 6-2. Remember that year where they started 6-2, whatever they were that year?
Well, I mean, what's the difference from a Brian Hoyer jersey and a Baker Mayfield one? You just get the back slapped off and put Mayfield on it, and boom, you have a better jersey
There
by
you go.
default.
There you go.
So that's not a bad choice. To the people who got Johnny football jerseys, I almost feel like it's such a bad choice that it's a good choice at this point, right? Because like you show up with the Johnny football jersey, you gonna start a conversation in the room. You know what I mean? I think the worst jersey you could own is like a Barkevius Mingo. Like, who is that?
Yeah.
Former Browns first round pick.
Yeah.
The Justin
Yeah.
Gilbert. That's a bad jersey. What else is there?
Wait, Q, now that you say that, not to derail here, but the Browns got saved by the Raiders. Remember how we talk about the Browns having the two worst first round pick? They had 2 first round pick, and the Raiders went and picked Ruggs, which not because of the field, but I never thought Ruggs was the best receiver. And
Browns
then they
still did
went
worse.
and
They
but
did
look at the
worse.
corner. They released the
Damon
corner as
Arnett?
well.
No. It's a bad 2 picks, right? But like, what if the draft of them depended on like one dude outright pretty much murdering somebody with negligence, right? Like that's what that draft being bad depended on. The Browns draft pick was bad because they drafted dudes who had issues that they knew about in the first place, but they just didn't care. And then they did it in one of the best drafts of all time. Like
Aaron
the
Donald,
2020
maybe.
draft is a good draft, but it's not what 2014 was. Like that's what makes that Browns draft still the worst one of all time. Like because you knew that Johnny Manziel had all these issues, and you still drafted him. You didn't even do a visit for Justin Gilbert, and you took him in the 10th pick, and you heard that he had a terrible work ethic, and you still did this to yourself. They didn't know Henry Ruggs was going to do
Right.
that in 3
That is
years, or that Damon Arnett had to strap on him. Like, they didn't know these things at that time. The Browns did, and still made that choice in one of the most loaded drafts in NFL history. And that's what makes it be what there will never be anything that unseats what Ray Farmer did with the 2014 draft as one of the worst first rounds.
Didn't you trade up for Mansell? Or
We traded up for both of them.
Yeah.
oh, for both?
Yeah, we didn't trade up. Well, I think we traded back. We traded back with Buffalo, so we were going to take Watkins and then traded that to Buffalo, and then said we could do worse than Watkins. We could do much worse than Watkins. And then took Justin Gilbert, the worst player in that draft. Like, that's the thing that gets overwhelmed. Johnny Manziel was bad, but Justin Gilbert was the worst player in that entire draft that got
Not good.
The Steelers brought him.
Worst player.
No, Steelers. Yeah. We Steelers. Listen, they were hurting for corners so bad. Like, listen, we can try to. We can make this work. Maybe. No.
You can
And they
salvage
gave up in like 2
By the way,
weeks.
if the Browns were smart, look, hipster culture is a thing, right? People like to be different. So why not just go through and just like put out jerseys of the quarterbacks that are like, oh yeah, remember how about Jake Delhomme jerseys, right? Just start selling Jake Delhomme Browns jerseys.
You know why they don't do that, Tony?
How about that? Thad Lewis. Remember Thad Lewis? You got a little.
Oh yeah, people actually.
Jason
believe
Campbell.
Thad Lewis.
How about a
wait,
Jason
no,
Campbell
Connor Shaw?
Browns jersey?
Connor Shaw. People.
Connor
believe
Shaw,
Shaw.
great one. Cody
Tony
Kessler.
Grossi told me Connor Shaw was going to be the future of this team. With Cody Kessler, he wears 6'2", so he could just change that into a Baker Mayfield jersey as well. But here's the thing, though, Tony. This is why you can't have hipster culture with the quarterbacks, because they already own the jerseys. Like, you go to Cleveland Browns Stadium, you will see a Thad Lewis jersey. You will see Cody Kessler jerseys. Like, they'll have a jacket on over top
How
of them.
about Jeff Garcia? Jeff Garcia was the best quarterback for a while.
For like 10 years, they had all these Jeff Garcia jerseys, and they coming back as Case Keenum jerseys. Like, the reason why hipsters don't do it is because a hipster wants to do it because nobody else is doing it. You go to Cleveland Browns Stadium, all them jerseys are still there. I saw Gerard Warren the last time I went to Cleveland. Gerard Warren. Gerard, you know how old that jersey is? Gerard Warren. Warren.
Wait, did Chad Henne actually play for the Browns?
No, he
didn't play for the Browns.
So we have a couple super chats here. I got a Peyton Hill jersey. By the time I got it, he was already sitting out games to try to get paid. Then I got a
damn. That's the worst
jersey,
one, because the second you can get a Peyton Hillis jersey is the second you don't want one.
No. Do not feel bad about Peyton Hillis, because that's not the worst thing that happened with Peyton Hillis. EA decided it was a good idea to put Peyton Hillis on the cover of Madden.
Decided that they were going to put him on. That was one of those fan vote years.
Oh, was it a fan vote? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, in Browns, Browns fans, they get excited. Yeah, they get excited over Peyton Hillis, and they voted him over Michael Vick.
He had the one that
Browns. Your only player ever on the cover of Madden is Peyton Hillis.
Yeah, that's gonna be there for a while unless they have like a defensive revamp and want to put Miles and TJ on it, which would be one hell of a cover. They should do that actually. That would be a dope cover.
That would be a cool cover.
But like, Baker Mayfield, I don't think he's gonna make the Madden cover no time soon.
No,
I'll eat my words on that one, but I don't think. I think we're far more likely to see a Lamar cover again than we are to see a Baker Mayfield cover. Just doesn't have the type of game you're like, yo, dog, I want to put him on the cover of Madden. Like.
Fang Morrow here says, I bought a Chase jersey before the Jets game.
Fang, you may need to sell it back, because
judging
what he's done the last 2 weeks, I hate to tell you, but
wow,
that's on you.
Arenda here says, I have a Joe Hayden jersey, and my daughter's middle name is spelled Hayden after him. Then he went to the Steelers. Talk about a costume.
I was actually thinking about this. Dog, I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, man, has Joe Hayden been a Steeler longer than he's been a Brown? It's been like 1 year. It's like he stays on the Steelers like 2 more years. He would have been a Steeler longer than he would have been a Brown. And that's amazing to me that he has had that longevity, because I remember when he got cut, there wasn't a lot of people being like, oh man, that's going to be a mistake. Browns are going to rue. They were more like, man, it sucks that the one dude we can get to stick around, we going to cut. Like, but yeah, shout out Joe Hayden, by the way. That's not the worst one though. You know what I mean? Like, he was a bright spot in some terrible years. Joe Hayden was. So, I can respect that one. That's better than the Peyton Hillis, who had like 7 games.
Here says Sonny, who will be the next Raven player inducted into the Hall of Fame? I think
Just
the
a time.
only player. Nah, I think Suggs has a chance. I think Suggs.
Oh yeah,
Defensive
Suggs
player
would be
of
there.
the year. Yeah. I think
Well,
Suggs-
hold on. James Harrison's not in. So if James Harrison's not in, Suggs ain't going in.
Well,
What about Bart Scott?
Yeah,
No.
Bart Scott should get in just for can't wait. Can't wait.
Okay. So
Oh, he said Hall of Fame. I thought he said
Hall of Fame.
Ring of Fame. I
No,
was
no,
about
no,
to
no,
say
no. Hall of Fame.
Ring of Fame. Yeah, why wouldn't Terrell Suggs be in the Ravens Ring of Fame? That I
No,
thought he
no.
was in there already.
Hall of Fame. I think Suggs has a case. I don't think it's a slam dunk, by the way. I think he has a case. Harrison is not eligible, or is he?
Harrison was eligible this year. Was the first time?
Okay.
Maybe
I
last
think
year?
Harrison might get in. I think Suggs might get in, but both of them will take some years to do.
Actually, no.
I don't.
Retired 2017, right? So
Yeah, I
yeah, so
think
he's
he's
coming
not
up. He's
eligible
coming
yet.
up on
Yeah.
eligibility.
I
think
think-
it's the same year as Joe Thomas.
Yeah, but neither of them are
getting
gonna be first ballot, right? I think they might get in 3, 4, 5 years after.
You know
I
who
think
should get in first ballot, but I think might not because people just don't remember how good he was? Haloti Nada.
I don't even know if he will ever get in, but I think Haloti, like if you say Sonny,
He was-
I think he is a Hall of Famer. But I don't think people will ever.
It was before the era where we like really focused on what defensive tackles could do.
Yeah, he was a force.
Well, he retired in 2018, so he's got a little bit to wait.
Who? Haloti?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ray Lewis said to the Ravens front office. I mean, there's a story about this confirmed by the players. That he went and said to the front office, if you, I get, he struggled the year before. He said, like, I need somebody in front. I want that kid from Oregon. Draft him. And then they drafted Haloti
Ray
Nada.
Lewis, Hall of Fame GM too, huh? I bet Ray Lewis found a way to give himself credit for Haloti Nada. I knew Ray
Yes.
Lewis would find a way. Ray Lewis give him credit for inventing ice cream. Like he'll just find a way. You know, I was yelling at
You heard
somebody.
this story about in the Super Bowl how Jacoby Jones returned that touchdown, right? Ray Lewis, bro. I'm not trolling. Before in the second half,
This is what Ray does.
before the second half, he goes to Jacoby Jones and touches him like
Oh
in
my
the chest.
All right,
Right.
that's it. That'll do it for AFC North Talk.
No,
Thank
we
you
have
all
so
for
much
watching.
Ray
Get a
Lewis
personalized
is the most self-indulgent player
Yeah.
of
I'm not gonna
all
lie to
Did he
you.
time.
spray the
But he
deer?
gets away with it.
He used a deer antler spray right before the second half. Is that what happened?
But there's video of him touching Jacoby before he goes in and returns the touchdown. I mean,
magic touch. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
passed that spirit on to him.
yeah.
I bet Jacoby was like, I wonder if Ray Lewis breath stink while he doing all that screaming. Like, could you imagine Ray Lewis out here doing all that motivation to his breath stink, but it's Ray Lewis and you can't say nothing to him about it? Like, what if his breath stink? Who would tell him? Who would tell him?
I wouldn't.
So I always imagine that Ray Lewis just his breath stink, and then everybody just sit there like, "Oh my god, bro, here come Ray. Ray about to come here and scream, bro. Just stand there, bro. His breath stinks." Like,
Is Ed Reed in yet? Did Ed Reed get in already?
Come on, man. First ballot. Yeah.
I'm saying, was he eligible? Because Troy just got in this year.
Yeah, so they got in the year. Ed got the year before.
Okay.
Because
Ed
Troy
retired in
didn't get in
2013.
because of the votes, right? Troy and a couple other got because it was the whatever year of the NFL and they got
Yeah, it was a COVID thing. Yeah.
what Troy? Which Troy?
Troy
Yeah.
Polamalu, yeah.
Polamalu.
He's first ballot,
Oh.
but he went in this year because of the COVID thing.
Yeah, it wasn't voted in. Or Troy wasn't voted in, right? It was they put more players this year because it was a special year.
Well, they just
I mean,
they
I
voted
remember Ed
everyone
Reed.
in, but they just voted more players because it was a special year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
remember
cool.
Ed Reed went viral? Something he did in his speech. I remember it was like it went viral or something like that.
I can't remember. Okay, so Huge Bulky says, get a personalized jersey Q with the channel name or your last name.
Jinx his own
Why
channel,
would I
can't do
want to
it.
curse myself?
Yeah.
Why would I want to do that one to myself? No, if I don't want to curse Myles Garrett, you think I want to sit here?
You don't want to go back
tear
to
my
YouTube
own
penalty.
ACL?
You don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, go back to
weird-
YouTube, taking all my money. I'm good on that one, baby. You know what I mean? I might
Bot
have to
Squad.
just-
Remember, you want to go back to Bot Squad?
Yeah, man. Nah, man. I'm good on that. I'm not cursing myself. Look, I'm just gonna live the jersey-free lifestyle. I don't like how they fit anyways. They cost $300 and they shouldn't.
They are way too
you know,
expensive.
Yeah.
I'll stick to t-shirts. I like t-shirts. I'll get a t-shirt of a dude. You know what I mean? But the jersey, I don't need to put nobody out there like that. Every time I wore a Chubb Hub shirt, and Nick Chubb had one of his worst games in his entire career. I'm not doing any personalized jerseys or any no, man. I'm just gonna have the Browns, and most of the time, I don't even want it to say the Browns because I'm afraid that that's gonna change.
Yeah.
I grew up a baseball player. If you can't tell, I have a ton of weird superstitions. This is one of them.
Okay, guys. So this is again, our schedules are changing. We might come either Mondays or Tuesdays, and the second show might be Thursday or Friday. This is why not only you should subscribe, hit that bell so you can be part of it. Guys, we're gonna be announcing something real soon, in the next week or so. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. It might come through Twitter first, and then we'll announce it here. Make sure you follow us on Twitter so you know when we go. We hit the 1K Twitter followers, so thank you for everybody that follows us. Also, there's 5 people only in the pick'em. Make sure you make those picks before you don't want to lose that weight, as you're in the top 5 to get that Manscaped package. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey, go Ravens tonight.
Have you ever felt
Are you listening?
that's intercepted?